Yo, what's up?
What's up? For some reason I don't hear you on here.
Yo, what's up, Ross? What's
I hear you.
good?
I hear you. I hear you. What's up? What's up, man? Time to separate the weak from the strong, man.
Yeah, man. I feel like we need to get into it and talk about this crap because it's just ridiculous to me that a lot of people they don't even understand what net and gross means. Like, how do you not understand that? Do you not have a 9 to 5? Do you not have a job?
They don't know how to read their statement.
Wow. So when
They,
they say Terence Crawford gets 35% net and not 35% gross, no fighter is getting gross. Every fighter is getting net pay. When you collect a paycheck, do they give you gross pay or do they give you or do you have to pay FICA, Social Security, Medicare, all of these
right.
different taxes? Don't you have to pay taxes?
I think no fighter under Al Heyman gets gross. There's been a lot of fighters that have had tax problems because I think they were getting gross and they weren't doing what they were supposed to do. But I don't think no fighter under Al Heyman gets gross. And I don't know how that works, but I do know this: there is a big difference between gross and net. Gross is the everything, and net is what you get after they take all the shit out. You know what I'm saying? That everybody should know
Exactly.
that. Everybody should fucking know that. And in certain, in certain pay statements, it tell you. It said this is your gross. And it said that you see all the minus shit coming out. Then it say this your net. Now, I don't understand how people don't understand that he's not getting cheated because he's getting paid his net. They're actually doing him a solid. It's shit that he don't got to worry about now because they already did it for him.
Exactly. And it's interesting that a lot of people don't understand that Al Heyman is actually doing Terrence Crawford a favor here. You know, this is to me the weirdest thing that I've ever seen because Terrence Crawford is supposed to be a guy who no longer has a roadblock, right?
Right.
He's supposed to be a guy who no longer has anything in his way. But what we're seeing, and it's evident and it's obvious, is a guy who's never ran his affairs, business affairs by himself. He doesn't
Right.
even understand simple, basic fundamentals. And it shows why a guy like Bomac is not qualified to be running his boxing career. I'm going to be honest with you. He was better off just being with top rank than him being by himself because now he's making more of an impasse. He's making this more difficult than what Bob Arum was going to do. Because let's be honest, we know Bob Arum's format is laziness, right?
Right.
Bob's Arum's format is he's not going to basically use the modernized way that PBC does things. He's going to try to be lazy about it with his promotion, and he's going to use basically the traditionalist style of how promoters run boxing. That's what he wants to do. That's what he's comfortable with. That's what he's known for over 50 plus years. It is what it is. And Al Heyman wasn't going to get in the way of that. As long as the numbers look more favorable for PBC, because we've already seen this with Wilder and Tyson Fury. We've seen
Right.
this when they've done the joint ventures together. He'll let Bob Arum be the front man. He does not care as long as PBC is headlining.
Right.
And that's exactly the way it would have been. But Bob Arum would have made things happen. And guess what? This fight would have gone into fruition. We saw this with Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. The fight came into fruition. The fight actually happened.
But there's a big problem. There's a big difference between that fight and this fight. And the big difference is those guys really wanted to fight. They wanted to fight each other, both of them. And in this fight, Bud don't really want to fight Errol Spence. Because it's Bud doing he's the one putting the roadblocks up. It wasn't this hard for him to fight Mean Green for less money. He made that work. It wasn't hard for him to fight none of these motherfuckers. Now all of a sudden it's a problem with everything now.
Exactly.
Cause he don't want to fight, man. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like you in a relationship, and you the type of dude. You the type of dude you think it's cheaper to keep her. You the type of dude that think happy wife, happy life. So you put up with a whole lot of shit off your bitch, right? So
Yep.
your girl, every time you try to get some pussy, it's always something. Her wrist hurt, her neck hurt, she got a headache, her Achilles, she tore her Achilles. It's always some shit when you try to get some ass. Cause she don't why it's not it's because she's not attracted to you, but she don't know how to say it. Because when a woman attracted to you, you don't even have to ask for no ass. She not attracted to you, she don't want to give you no ass. And that's the thing, she don't want to do it. Bud Crawford don't want to fight Spence. That's why it's a problem. Everything's a problem all of a sudden. Shit that he never cared about now is a problem. You know what I'm saying? And he's trying to. This going to show you how niggas who don't have no dads, they raised to be bitch ass niggas. You can't get your way, so you're gonna tear down a black man, a black business owner, and try to destroy a black company reputation because you can't get your way. Do you not know? Do you not know the detriment of your actions? Do you not know that?
Mm-hmm.
You in your emotions so much, you're not thinking the far reach of your actions. That even if you do feel a certain way, certain things you can't say because you are dealing with another black man, and you might not be fucking with him. You might not be on the same page with him at this moment, but you ain't gonna say nothing that's gonna hurt him. Yeah, that's gonna hurt his business.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you don't think like that is a problem. It's a
I'm glad you
problem.
said that because and I just wanted to quickly say this. Shout outs to OG Flash. We going back to back, that Heat and that Fire, King Styles Productions. Shout outs to you. Salute to you guys for the super chat and the cash app. We really appreciate it. TZ Frank said Bud is trying to manipulate the media. Let me tell you something, TZ Frank. He's not trying to manipulate the media. He's basically strong arming Budman fans, Omaha Nebraskans, and basically those who are ESJ haters, you know, what we call the fake as fuck Errol Spence fans, to galvanize so that they can have something to talk about. If you notice, they were running dry. The well was running dry as soon as the ink was getting ready to be signed on Spence versus Crawford. And then all of a sudden, Bud found what we would say a ducking and stalling loophole. He found a few of those loopholes to say the difference between net and gross. Like he needs to go to mathematics school all over again. It's like he needs to go to simple, you know, how to count, how to know how to basically pay your taxes type of school. And then at the same time, this whole event thing with his family. These are lame excuses, man. When you have a fight of this magnitude and you have a fight of this epic proportion, you're not sitting here worried about is your family members are going to come to the fight, or, you know, is this 35% net or 35% gross? Was Floyd Mayweather worried about his B-side situation when he fought Oscar De La Hoya, or did he see the bigger picture of what cash cow he would become in boxing if he fought that fight? He didn't even care the gloves. He didn't care what the demands were that Oscar De La Hoya was making, because he saw the bigger picture. He saw that, you know what, once I win this fight, it's undeniable for me. And Al Heyman sweetened the deal for Terence Crawford. Look, you are the B-side here. But if you can prove that you are truly what you say that you are, then in the second fight, if there's a rematch, you're going to get the lion's share. That's part of the contract. That's part of what was discussed. That's part of the negotiation. If you can prove that you are the guy that beats Errol Spence, and you beat him in a close fight, or you beat him slightly favorably, if there is a rematch that takes place, you're getting the lion's share of everything. So why wouldn't you want something like that?
Right.
When you know the goal is undisputed, you're going after something that is supposed to be a prestigious title. You're going after something that's supposed to be a prestigious mark. Undisputed is not something to sniff at. Undisputed at 147, there are weight classes in boxing that transcend the sport. 147, 160,
Heavyweight.
175, heavyweight. These weight classes mean something in the sport of boxing.
Big.
So when you do something and you translate yourself in these sports, you're basically putting yourself in a position to where you as a fighter are doing big things.
Mm-hmm.
And people got to understand that.
That's the thing. The only people who find this amusing or find this to be valid are people who were raised to do what Bud does, right? Whenever they run into a challenge, not to overcome that challenge, but to complain about the challenge, to give up, to find excuses to quit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To find excuses to quit. To find excuses to take the easy route. They're raised to do that, but not having that man and that strong, because you can have a man in your life, but he cannot be strong. But not having that strong man that they see go through trials and tribulations, and for better or for worse, stay the course. That's the reason why young men need role models. They need fathers. They need uncles to be around, right? If you're gonna be dealing with a woman and she got a kid, even though that's not your child, you need to be an example to that kid, man. He need to see, even if you were not his dad, he need to see you're a functioning member of society, and you don't break down every time shit don't go your fucking way. You know what I'm saying? And you don't try to look for no easy route. I don't care what nobody say. I would never respect LeBron James as a basketball player because he always took the easy route when things get hard. Always.
Yep.
He ain't get upset and speak about it. Kobe got upset and spoke about it. Like, yo, you know what? I can't play with this motherfucker Shaq. He not doing it. If y'all gotta get rid of him and get rid of me because I'm coming 100%, he not. But did Kobe actually leave? No, he didn't. He said something. He didn't do it. He stood the course. I can't
So
get.
the bottom line is Bud is not as smart as he think he is.
He's not. Because thing about it is his plots and his plans, they only make sense to people who move like him. Cause it's the shit that they would do. They can't get their way. They're gonna try to passively foil the plans, and they're gonna try to look for a way out and point fingers. But
So basically they're gonna cry.
Those people don't matter in society. The people who really matter in society are the people who make shit happen. The black men who say, you know what, these motherfuckers at this job got me fucked up, man. They got another thing coming because next year I'm finna get these certifications. I'm finna show their ass because they ain't have no choice but to fuck me. I'm finna put in a predicament. They gonna have to fuck me. I ain't gonna quit. I'm not gonna quit the job. They're gonna have to either let me be or promote me. I'm not gonna quit. To those motherfuckers, this shit is plain as day that Bud on goofy shit. That Bud's he's being a coward right now. Because at the end of the day, a man who don't want to fight Errol Spence, but is not a coward, will just say, you know what? I don't want to take this fight. I think, you know what I mean? I'm not taking this fight. Just straight up. And just go down and just vacate and just do him doing all this posturing and all over the place and saying shit like, I don't know about this contract because of the net. Like, bro, you make yourself sound stupid. You don't know the difference between the gross and the net. Why would you say that? Hire a lawyer, man, so they could do this talking for you so you don't sound crazy. I do that shit at 18 when I was working at Starbucks. That's what I realized right there. Like, damn, they took a lot of my check. Fuck is going on? Let me look. Like, oh, this shit going to Social Security. This shit doing this. Like, man, this shit come with it. Dude, as in know that come with it. That don't make no sense. Quit speaking. You make yourself look stupid. And then his fan base, they just regurgitate everything he say because they don't realize is they even sound dumb for regurgitating that shit. You sit here letting Bud spin you about the net and the gross, like you don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks, and you don't see these niggas taking Social Security out your shit that you can't get to you 65. Come on, man. That's what he's talking about right now. That's what he's talking about. He talking about taxes and shit coming out his check. He supposed to been knew that happens in real life. You ain't know that? Come on, man. His fan base, they going regurgitating it. Why? 'Cause it has nothing to do with Bud. His fan base.
Well, this could speak to Bob Arum, Jerry Heller in the situation. It could be a Jerry Heller Easy E type situation with Top Rank. Probably Bob Arum was, well, I won't say probably. Bob Arum was just basically taking care of everything.
Taking care of
And
everything
all Terence Crawford had to do is show up for the fights.
and show up for the
Because
fight.
now that he's in a hat of him being independent and him having to take care of all of his affairs, he doesn't even understand the simple technicalities and stuff. Like,
And that
really, you're holding up a fight because of events. You're holding up the fight because of net and gross. When you hear these types of things, he's not holding up the fight because of these reasons. He's holding up the fight because he does not want to fight Earl
because he don't
Spence,
want to
man.
fight.
Let's just be honest here.
Because he don't want to fight. Because at the end of the day, if he really wanted to fight, he could still just show up for the fight. All you gotta do is hire lawyers to do the shit that he don't know how to do.
Exactly.
There's no shame. There is shame in not knowing the difference between gross and net. I don't care what nobody say. But there's no shame. There's no shame. There is. There's shame in that. He's 30 plus years old. You should know that, right? But there's no shame in not knowing how lawyers speak, right? They have a whole different language. In America, to make things complicated, they make a whole different language for your field. Because you know what they used to do? They used to keep certain people out the field. So if you didn't know the language, you couldn't get
Yeah.
into the field. There's language for um architects speak a different way, doctors speak a different way, plumbers speak a different way. They all could say it's the simplest shit. It's gonna be different ways of speaking, right? So I can understand you don't know the language speak, so you hire lawyers like 99% of people who do it. But go and do it, man. And stop getting on these mics and saying this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because think about this, even if you're trying to just get out the fight, at least do that the right way. Don't make black people all look stupid because you want to get out this fight and you just saying anything. That's it.
Exactly.
The thing about it, he just saying anything at this point. Like
Yep.
he, like I said last night, he drowning, man. He drowning. He just reaching for anything to just stay afloat.
It's embarrassing that the roadblock was Top Rank. Top Rank is supposedly not in the picture anymore. And this fight is still going the way that it's going. Because, yes, things are agreed, in terms of material wise. Like on the surface, they've come to an on surface agreement. But the reason why the finalization of it, the full agreement is not happening, is because of Terence Crawford. It has nothing to do with Earl Spence because we're hearing the holdup is Bud. So that means Errol Spence signed everything. So when people are saying Spence didn't sign the contract, if he didn't do any of those things, Mike Coppinger would have reported that as well. He would have said, well, Spence didn't sign, or Spence has this issue, or he has this hang up. We're not hearing none of that from
Mhm.
Earl Spence. We're not hearing none of that from Earl Spence's team. We're not hearing none of that from Earl Spence's side. All we're hearing and everything we're hearing is coming from Bud's side. And the reason why we're hearing this is because Terence Crawford does not want to fight Earl Spence, man. This is what it boils down to. If
Yep.
people are paying attention to it, they could see he doesn't want the fight. It's simple.
Yeah, I want it, man. And I've been saying this shit for years, man. I just tell every Budman fan that used to come on the boxing show when we had a 4-person panel, 3-person panel, and I always told them at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if Bud don't take this fight. And niggas always thought I was tripping. I hated that I had to
Mm-hmm.
say that because I want to see this fight after so many years of people talking about this shit. I want to see it, right?
Yep.
But I kind of the way he was moving, I was like, I've been a fighter before, and I've been in predicaments when even I didn't even want to fight the dude because the dude was formidable, but I ain't had no choice because the dude violated me. I'm like, fuck this dude. You know what I'm saying? You can't put your hands on me, nigga. Yeah, we gonna have to fight. And it kind of find I end up winning. You know what I'm saying? But did I want to fight him? No, but I had to fight him. But so I know when people moving in the way to where not only do they have reservations about fighting a motherfucker, they refusing to fight him because they be doing stupid shit. You know when a nigga don't want to fight when he take off his watch He take out all this shit all slow. The nigga take off his shirt. The nigga do all this shit. Nigga tie his shoes 3 or 4 times. The nigga start doing jump jacks. The nigga walk around. The nigga don't want to fight. He doing all that because he not really about that. You know what I'm saying? And
So when you nitpicking at events, you nitpicking
that's the equivalent
at,
of that.
you know, net versus gross, you don't want to fight. Let's be honest.
That's the equivalent of a nigga that's steady fidgeting with his hats and shit and with his pants when it's time to fight.
Because Earl Spence's team said all that goofy shit Terence Crawford and them are doing, once the bell rings, man, no partners, no sisters, no mothers, no Omaha Nebraskans, no Bud Man fans, no one's gonna save you once that bell rings. And this is what Terence Crawford's not realizing. The smartest thing is when you fighting a guy like Spence, you want to make him as happy as possible. Your Dennis Ugas was smart in how he basically did he was smart in how he handled himself in the Spence situation, because even though Spence punished him, Spence had mercy on him. Mm-hmm. The reason why I say that is because Dennis Ugas was nice. He didn't go out of his way to say anything extra. Now Spence punished him because, you know, he still had to prove a point that he can bulldoze, you know, any nigga that steps into the ring. So he had to prove that point that he can just dominate you and punish you and mangle you and just basically destroy you. So Dennis Ugas became the casualty for that. But if we're being honest with ourselves, there was some mercy there. Yep. Spence didn't go all the way. Terence Crawford is not allowing any mercy here. He's making it to where Spence is agitated. And to be honest with you, I'm more worried about his safety at this point than anything else.
Yeah.
Because you don't want an agitated Errol Spence. You don't want an Errol Spence that's sitting here wondering, okay, why are you holding up this fight left and right over this, over that, over this nonsense, over that nonsense? I mean, come on, man.
Exactly, bro. Yeah, like I said, man. In this scenario, what people must prepare themselves for is 2 things. 9 times out of 10, I think the fight gonna happen just out of peer pressure, because Bud is not the strongest. He can't just make his mind up and say, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I don't give a fuck what people gonna say. So Bud gonna fight just because he don't want nobody to say that he done. But it's between him fighting and him retiring. If Bud don't fight, he'll just retire. You know what I'm saying? He can't go from not fighting Spence to having another fight, because people already don't watch his fights as it is. They're not even entertaining another fight if it's not Spence. So he's not gonna be able to do that. He's gonna have to retire early and Timothy Bradley the situation and duck Errol that way, or he's gonna have to take this fight. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Terence Crawford can't duck this fight, and we talked about this offline before we got on. The reason why he can't duck him is because he has a lot of mouths to feed in Omaha, Nebraska. He has that Manny Pacquiao syndrome. Manny Pacquiao just had it in the Philippines. Bud has it in Omaha, Nebraska. There's a lot of mouths to feed. Mac got to eat Big Macs. He got to get fatter and fatter. Sister got to, you know, be looking, you know, all dazzled up, you know, in the press conferences and stuff. That's coming from his check.
Right.
Mom got to be there. You know, plane tickets got to be paid. You know, mortgages got to get taken care of. So Bud has to have this fight off of the strength that there's a lot of people that are going to force his hand to where he's going to fight, even though he doesn't want to fight. That's going to happen.
Right.
But what we're seeing is nervous energy from this guy. I've never seen Terence Crawford ever in any of his fights, in any of his career, ever show this much reluctance, this much hesitation, this much, you know, I haven't already signed. Name me a Terence Crawford fight where Terence Crawford didn't already sign and we didn't already know there was a fight date and the fight was actually taking place. Right. The only other time I remember there was some hesitation was when he was fighting Sean Porter, and that's because originally he thought he was going to be fighting the Sean Porter that fought Errol Spence. But once he realized that this was the nosedive paid to lose variation, he went ahead and signed on the side. He signed on the dotted line, and then there was no more delay at that point,
Right.
because he needed to know which version. But with
And
Errol Spence, this is not even Sean Porter. This is next level. He knows that he's dealing with someone that's going to come into the ring. That's going to be no nonsense. He's not going to play with him. He doesn't have time to go back and forth and do all this talking. He has a statement to make, and he has something to prove. You know, when you look into a mirror and you see in the mirror something that looks like a dog, something that has this image of a person who is not here to play games. And he could see that with Errol Spence. And I think that is the biggest thing that scares him more than anything else. And he loses this allure, because if you notice, Bud is always he's always basically angling towards his boxing record. He's always angling towards, this is my boxing resume. This is what I've done. Nah, this is not Kenshiro versus Raul, man. The reason why it's not Kenshiro versus Raul, because Bud is not that good to be Raul. I'm sorry. He's not. This is Kenshiro versus Shin. When Kenshiro fought the first South Star Fist and beat the snot out of him and ended him quick. It's that.
yeah,
That's what it is.
the thing about it is, in a situation like, but in this type of situation, people must understand that it's okay to tell the truth. He don't even know who the South Star is, but he talking about Kenshiro versus Raul. Shit, crazy. But in a but in a situation like this, you got to separate how you feel from somebody from the truth, man. You might really want something, and you might want to see Bud succeed, and that's fine. Everybody like people for certain reasons, but you have to be able to separate what you feel from what it is, man. What it is this guy is trying to avoid the fight. Yes, the person that you may have been rooting for all this time, the person that you may want to see reach the highest of heights in boxing, doesn't even want that for themselves. They don't necessarily want to be the best. They want to appear to be the best. It's sort of like that dude at school that when you playing competitive sports, when you lose, his goofy ass say some shit like, "I didn't even try," or he say some shit like, "Well, I dropped 20, they lost," shit like that. That's that I don't have a daddy at home mindset.
Yeah.
That's that mommy mindset. It ain't my fault. I did my part. That's that mindset, man.
Yep.
And when you have that type of mindset, you're gonna attract other people who have that mindset as well. And that's a dangerous mindset for black men, because we already behind enemy lines.
Well,
We can't.
we know Terence Crawford was nervous the second after the Ugas fight, when Spence said, he called him out. He said, "I want Terence Crawford next, and I'm coming to get those belts." And you saw the reluctance. Usually Bud is so quick to jump on when somebody calls him out. I remember when Jose Benavidez called him out, and all these other, mediocre C minus D plus fighters were calling him out. Bud was right there doing his whole bullying game and saying, "Oh, you calling me out?" And then he would just say something right back to them to kind of get back in their face, et cetera, et cetera. But he's not doing that with Errol Spence.
Right.
He thought for a second. It took him days, man. We didn't hear nothing from this dude. This dude was silent for a long time because people couldn't believe that Spence just blatantly called them out. He said, "Yeah, and I'm coming to get those belts. I already got these belts. Now I'm coming to get your belt." Because at the end of the day, you have to judge people by their body language and judge them by their actions. A person's body language and action speaks louder than their words. Spence's body language and actions was what he was when it was in the confrontation. He told Bud, "Once I finish what I'm doing on this side, I'm going to handle you." When Bud was in the confrontation, he was sitting there dancing. When you see another dude dances in front of another dude, that shows you that he is basically saying that this person is superior to him. People don't pay
Right.
attention to these things, but I pay attention to these things. When he was sitting there just smiling, moving around, dancing, just, having fun, it's like he was starstruck. It's like he saw a celebrity and
Right.
he just couldn't believe it. Terence Crawford had the same emotions that Jerron Ennis had when Jerron Ennis saw Earl Spence. They just starstruck.
Right.
I don't think he even believed that Spence was going to be right there to confront him. And people want to make it seem, you know, like Terence Crawford was the one that pulled up on Spence. Spence already knew Terence Crawford was going to be there. He's the one that pulled up on him.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't
People
tell the truth. Now, for
exactly.
those who bash Al Heyman, those who bash PBC, you have to ask yourselves, in these last 5 years in boxing, who has given you the best fights? You got to ask yourself that question. And the
Yep.
same people that's bashing PBC, why are they covering those fights? If I'm bashing somebody, I'm not going to cover them. You notice when I get after Canelo Alvarez, I don't watch Canelo Alvarez fights. You will not find me covering a Canelo Alvarez fight. I don't have the energy for it. I don't have the patience for it. I don't have the I don't have the time for it until
Mm-hmm.
he decides that he's going to fight Jamal Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, David Benavidez, Arthur Beterbiev, these types of people. The last time that I was excited for a Canelo Alvarez fight was when he fought Dimitri Bivol, man. That was the last time I was excited because
That's
I knew he was fighting someone who wasn't gonna lay down, someone who's gonna go in there and was gonna embarrass him.
right.
But when he's fighting people that you know that he can beat, it's not something that you're gonna be gun ho about. That's why Andre Ward said on the surface, it looks like Canelo Alvarez fought everybody that he was supposed to. But when you look at it with a trained eye and you look at it from a professional eye, you could tell that these names that he fought, they were outside of their primes. I thought that was a masterful dig, man. It was
Yeah.
beautiful the way he said it. And he said it off of the strength of him fighting a 40-year-old Triple G. You got to understand how overrated Canelo Alvarez is because Andre Ward said he should have knocked him out.
Right.
This is a guy who looked like he was 40, you know, so many years ago.
And that's the thing. Here, this is the thing with Canelo. Triple G been asked for that rematch for how long? And Canelo said, "I'm never gonna give you a rematch because I beat you last." You gotta stand on it, right? The fact that you go and you rematch him now, that's telling me one thing: you fought him, so you don't got to fight somebody else. You fought him, so you don't got to fight Jamal Charlo. Now back to barbershop conversation. Bash Al Heyman. Did y'all know that don't got nothing to do with the fight? That's a personal thing.
Exactly.
That's very personal. What happened was barbershop conversations used to have a credential, a media credential. Thanks to who? Thanks to Al Heyman. Thanks to the PBC. He used to have a media credential. He let that go through his head and was asking questions that were borderline unprofessional. He got warned. He did not listen. He continued to do it, and they took his media credential. And ever since then, he been crying about the PBC, man. He had to
Yep.
take this is the epitome of a bitch move. As a man, you can't do that. Even
And
if
not
you
only crying about PBC, basically buck dancing and capping for the massa and promoting Top Rank and
not
Bob
rank.
Arum and Eddie Hearn. I mean, this is
Yeah.
clear indications of what we've experienced over the last 500 plus years in transatlantic slavery.
Right, man. You gotta understand one thing. You gotta always watch yourself as a man. Do things because they're logical. Do things because it's out of principle. That means sometimes you might have to fuck somebody up out of principle. Sometimes
Yep.
you might have to cut somebody off principle. Never make decisions off your emotions, man. Because you're never gonna be in your right state of mind. One thing didn't go his way. He got a credential, but he mad that he can't say what he want to say. Everybody in media who got a credential from a higher authority know you can't just say what you want to say.
Yep.
Why you think no matter what, Shannon Sharp, he always gonna side with the white quarterback first and make the black quarterbacks have to go through so much before he get him his respect. If it was just his show, it might be different. But he gotta appease the white people who predominantly watch that show and say, you know what, I don't really believe in Lamar. Say that for 3 years, and then all of a sudden now you believe in Lamar. All of a sudden, he's believed
Yep.
in him from the gate, but he got to play this game with these white folks. He know he can't say what he want to say. That's media. So you can't be like, oh yeah, because I asked Floyd something, they told me not to ask. So I asked him again, and next thing you know, I didn't have a credential. That's how that
Yep.
shit go. If a white man did that, you wouldn't say nothing. But he didn't expect no black man to stand on business and say, you know what? I already told your ass don't ask that, didn't I? Did I not
Yep.
tell you not to ask that? Guess
Yep.
what? Snatch that motherfucker credential off his chest so goddamn fast.
But my thing is this: if you're gonna talk trash about Al Hammond, you're gonna talk trash about PBC. Don't cover no PBC fights. Don't
Right,
talk about PBC fights. Don't
right.
talk about PBC fighters. Don't even look their way. But they still do that.
On,
And that is where the biggest hypocrisy comes into play. And that is where the biggest issue come into play, where it's more of a thing of, in your mind, without a shadow of a doubt, that these guys are the reason why the sport has survived.
exactly.
Without a shadow of a doubt, this is the reason why the sport is thriving. But then you turn around and you spit on them over who? The Zone? Because if we're going to go off of the Zone, their app failed.
Fail.
Canelo Alvarez was supposed to be the premier guy. He had to leave to come to PBC to make big dollars. His biggest paycheck was the Caleb Plant fight in recent history. And the only reason why he didn't stay is because Al Heyman and them was like, yo, we can fatten the deal. We can make these checks even bigger. You just got to fight David Benavidez and Jamal Charlo next. And then he tucked his tail and ran back the other way, man.
It ran the other way. The thing about it is the black boxing consumer needs to be more smart in political science. You need to understand the country you're working in. We have this thing where we hold our own people to the highest standards and we let everybody else do whatever they want.
Yep.
And we don't say shit.
Yep.
If Floyd Mayweather would have did that, niggas would have been all over Floyd's head for doing that. The Errol Spence would do that, niggas would be all over his head for doing that. We hold ourselves to the highest standards. We let everybody else do whatever the fuck they want to do. Canelo not fighting David Benavidez and not fighting Jamal Charlo is a black eye of boxing, man. He's supposed to be held accountable. But you got to understand what the reason why he's not, because the wrong people got the platforms. Man, he knows we doing it, but our voice only reach so far because we don't have the big platforms like they got.
Mm-hmm.
They got the big platforms. You guys are going in their chats, but are you guys saying anything? Are you saying that's cap? Are you guys, y'all just listen to what he said and bringing it back to us?
Nah, let's be honest, Ross. They're the same ones that's sitting there agreeing, saying salute, and yeah, man, you telling the truth. And this, because let me tell you something.
Yeah, some of these motherfuckers
people love to be a part
patties.
of.
Some of these motherfucking chatty patties. Yeah, you're right.
People love to be a part of something. People want to feel affiliated with something. People want to feel that they belong to something. People want to feel that they are, people are followers, man. Most people are followers by nature and they can't help it. It's in them to be sheep. Now, we're all created to be sheep, but there's a difference between being sheep and then being blind sheep. And they're blind sheep. That's the difference. They allow themselves to be in that because they just want to be a part of something. So they'll listen to whatever crap, they'll listen to whatever bullshit, they'll listen to whatever nonsense is being spewed in their heads, and they're not questioning anything. And if they dare to question it, They know they're gonna get blocked. They know they're gonna get singled out. Who gives a fuck if you get blocked? Who gives a fuck if you get singled
Right,
out? At least you said something
right.
that question the morality and the integrity of what the person is saying that you know damn well doesn't make sense. And for
It-
you to sit there and then listen to it over and over and over again and know it doesn't make sense. Know it's
right,
clickbait. Know that what the person is saying, it doesn't add up to the reality of what's going on. Why do you think PBC fighters are not pushing to be part of these, platforms and be up under these types of individuals? Because they know it's a damned if you do and a damned if you don't. You already hate the affiliation that I'm with. So if you hate the affiliation that I'm with, why would I be stupid enough to affiliate myself with them? The only person who was dumb enough to do that, and his stupidity came off of the fact that he's just passionate for his people, was Deontay Wilder.
right.
If Deontay Wilder wasn't so
They took advantage.
blindly passionate for his people,
They took advantage
he
of
would have been
Deontay
smart
Wilder.
enough to see the bullshit too.
But the sad thing is, granted, this is a perfect world, right? And things are perfect. Sad thing is, he shouldn't have to worry about that from his own people. That's the sad thing. That's going to show you just how low down some of us is. We be taking advantage of our own niggas, man. A nigga like
Mm-hmm.
Deontay Wilder, who's coming out speaking for the people, who's telling the media y'all bogus as hell, y'all be lying on black fighters. Why y'all take advantage of him, man? You know what I'm saying? That's going to show you y'all ain't shit, man. But here's another thing right here. So you said something. You said a lot when you said about the reason why they do what they do when it comes to the PBC. Here's another thing, y'all. Y'all sit up there, y'all go on their channels, y'all hear what they say, y'all see this bullshit. You don't say nothing. Then you come bringing to us, man. Like, listen, be a man, man. Say something in there, man. Like, you
Man
know what I'm
up.
saying? Like, stand up on your own too. Like, you know what I'm
Man
saying?
up.
When he said, "Who cares if they block you?" That's serious business. Because if you're doing that on social media, what are you doing in real life, man? You at work, letting these people say all type of shit, is doing whatever they want to do to you. You let motherfuckers just
Exactly.
talk and say whatever they want to say about black people around you, and you just say,
Yep.
"I'm just gonna be cool just because I get a check here." Did you know you could still? You just know you could defend yourself in a professional way and still get your check and not get fired. You know what I'm saying? You don't always got to go to the extreme to whoop the shit out of somebody. You could defend yourself. You could either put people up on charges for saying the wrong things around you and still keep your fucking job. But the problem is with black men, we don't mind. We don't mind putting people in uncomfortable situations if they black. But if they not black, we hesitant. We hesitant to make a hostile environment with white folks. If your black supervisor disrespect you, you'll check that motherfucker on the spot. But when
My
white
problem is my problem is they apologize for Terence Crawford too much. There's too many apologizers for Bud. Why does Bud get apologies?
I'll tell you
Why
why.
does Bud get defended?
I'll tell you why.
Why does Bud get basically, how should I say this? Why does he get put in a position to where
He could do no
he
wrong.
is always given a green light to do whatever he wants? It has nothing to do with the status quo. Because if it was just Bud Man fans, if it was just his constituents, kind of like how they say in politics, if it was just his side that was doing it, then Bud wouldn't have this leeway to do this stuff. If you have all of these people that are quote unquote truly Earl Spence fans, right? Terence Crawford really wouldn't be doing all of this stuff that he's doing. The
Right.
reason why Terence Crawford is doing all of this stuff is because these same individuals are always crying and always basically, how should I say it? Um, Not only crying, but they're also apologizing in Bud's favor.
Mm-hmm.
And this is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. TZ Frank, you hit it on the head. You said what I was thinking. It's because, and we got to break out of this mindset that anything that's linked to white people is better or somehow a step above. Like all these white niggas wear Gucci, Louis, and Prada and all that shit. It's just because white people make it, man. If niggas made the same shit of the same quality, niggas would not buy that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? They would not buy it. You know what I mean? Or they'll have some type of complaints. Look how they do Kanye. Like Kanye sold a shoe for 200, man. It should be 60. But yet you buy a Louis belt for $800.
Mm-hmm.
You basically said Kanye black. He should be charging that much. Why he charging that much? He ain't no white man. That's what you saying. So that's the same thing with Bud. Cause ESPN been on Bud Dick for how long? The last 8 years strong. Some black people they side with whatever the white man say. Straight up. That's why I keep telling people like, man, we can't so far along from since slavery. No, the fuck we didn't. We just higher paid slaves.
Yep.
But the status quo is still the same. Except for there ain't no field. Your field is your job where you go to. But you and the white people at that job is not the same.
Exactly.
Y'all not the same. You know what I'm saying? So motherfuckers, like dude said, they fuck with Bud heavy and give Bud all these mistakes, all these excuses because ESPN linked to him. Same
And
way
where
how
was
they
all of this? Where was all of this? Bud was going after Bob Arum because he was treated, like a black man. Where's all of this, lawsuit? How come all of this deaded in the water? It deaded in the water because none of that was true, man. That shit was bullshit. I know what happened, man. Bob Arum pulled an Oscar de la Hoya with Canelo Alvarez. He pulled that with Terence Crawford.
Mhm.
He had a private conversation with him and said, "Look, it's time you fight Errol Spence." And Terence Crawford heard that shit and was like, "Oh hell no," and he bucked.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he just said, "You know what, man? I don't want to be part of Top Rank no more," because he knew at that point Bob Arum was getting ready to feed him to the damn shark. Let's just be honest here, man.
Right. But at the end of the day, the reason why people say feed him to the shark and not say make the fight is because people know Bud can't beat Errol Spence, man. Truth be told, as much shit Bud been talking, it should have been the lexicon should just be make the fight. But the reason why we say feed him to the shark because we can tell that Bud not ready for that to swim in them waters. He ain't did.
Exactly.
He hadn't done anything to say he ready to swim in the waters. Swimming
Yep.
in a kiddie pool, swimming at 8 feet of water is different than swimming in the Pacific Ocean with the current, nigga.
Exactly.
It's a whole different thing. You could be
Yep.
standing in
With the
one place.
tidal waves, all of that.
Right. You could be standing in one. You could be standing in one place in the ocean and get moved, man. And you look
Um,
up and you somewhere else. Like, how the fuck this happened? You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
So at the end of the day, same reason why most niggas own LeBron. The promotion way heavy, and niggas are very easily persuaded. Nobody got promoted by ESPN like LeBron James. You watching basketball every fucking day. You seeing Kobe way better than this nigga doing shit that's unbelievable. But
Colder.
what is ESPN doing? They're nitpicking his performance. Yeah, he dropped 60, but he only had 4 assists. Point the game. Bill Russell said it the best. The game always been about buckets. It don't matter fuck how y'all score. It don't matter fuck if a nigga get 20 assists or if a nigga scored 20 free throws. This game is about winning. And Kobe was winning and he was dominating.
Well,
But
I'm gonna go deep and explain why. It has nothing to do with the dominance. It has to do with the control, power and
yeah,
control. It's kind of like the media has a domestic violence hold on black men. And there's unapologetic black men, and then there's apologetic black men. You see,
mm-hmm,
LeBron James is apologetic.
yeah,
Kobe Bryant is unapologetic. So because Kobe Bryant condescends, he's polarizing, and he basically laughs at media members when they ask the same question over again, or they just sound stupid, or
right,
he's annoyed with them, he's deterred by them. You know what they tell him? They say this guy right here, he is not the best basketball player because he's embarrassing them in front of other media heads.
right.
LeBron
So,
James doesn't do that.
so they take it
It's the
personal.
same thing with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. Errol Spence is unapologetic. Terence Crawford is not. Terence Crawford is status quo. And if you're being honest with yourself, when you see people root for someone, it's because their personality trait aligns with what they root for.
Yeah,
So when you see that they're rooting for someone apologetic, it's because in their personality trait, they are apologetic. They
yeah,
are the same people when they're in front of the white person, they buck dance. They are the person when they're in front of someone who they deem is superior to them, they move to the side and let that person get by. Let's just be honest here and let's call a spade here.
Yep.
Errol Spence has been in the defense of Deontay Wilder, even when Deontay Wilder was low key hating and speaking against him. But
Yep.
Terence Crawford, this guy right here has been supporting fighters all the way up until Bob Arum. He realized it took him like what 100 years to realize that Bob Arum really didn't have his best interests at heart, because he was talking about the same guys that he's saying I should be over them pound for pound. He was kissing their ass.
Right.
He wasn't going to no blackout media outlets. He was going strictly to white media outlets. He didn't care about these same people that keep apologizing for him. This is why I laugh when I say, why you have so many people that are not holding Terence Crawford's feet to the fire, when we know the latest news tells us that the holdup is Terence Crawford. Mike Coppinger confirmed it. Mike Coppinger is the Adrian Wojnarowski of boxing. When he says something, it is what it is, man. There's nobody boxing insider wise that's better than this dude, man.
Yeah.
And he's telling you that Terence Crawford is the fucking holdup. And you would think boxing fans that want this fight so bad would demand, but you know what I see, and this disturbs me more than anything else, Tom Ross. It's the apologizing for Terence Crawford. They never hold Terence Crawford accountable. Could you imagine if Errol Spence pulled, let's not even say half. Could you imagine if Errol Spence pulled a quarter of what Terence Crawford pulled? Do you understand the level of criticism that he would get? I mean, this is ridiculous.
It'll be ridiculous. But one thing I've seen in this world, in American culture, is that if you're an unaccountable person, other unaccountable people will side with you. If you're an accountable person, other unaccountable people will hold you accountable for shit that's not even your fault.
Facts.
Because that means they off the hook. The problem is when people see Bud, there's two things going on. Like you said, they see themselves, or when they don't see Bud, it's a assimilation thing. It's a visual assimilation thing. Some people think because some things look similar that they deserve the same type of evaluation. Now, when Floyd Mayweather left a void in boxing because Bud is a little slick. People want to value him higher than what he really is. He's nowhere near Floyd Mayweather Jr. Y'all want to make that the replacement. It's kind of like all the fake Jordans that came along. We made so many niggas baby Jordan that we missed the baby Jordan.
But see, here's the thing.
Hold on. Let me get this out real quick. We missed the baby Jordan. Harold Miner. What's the other dude? The dude that played for the Minnesota Timberwolves. We was making everybody the baby Jordans when Kobe was already there because we want to be able to choose who's next. And the person who's next,
they even said Jerry Stackhouse. They said Grant Hill.
Right. The person who was next was already there. It was Kobe Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
That's the person who's next. You don't get to choose who's the next fighter. The next fighter emerges. You don't get to choose. Go ahead, bro.
And I'm glad you said that. My bad if I interrupted because you were making some powerful points. Because my point, I'm glad I let you. I was able to allow you to finish because my points were basically along the same lines of your same points. It's interesting that everybody's always looking for the next, and Errol Spence has that Kobe Bryant dichotomy. And people don't understand when I was saying that. A lot of people didn't understand what I meant when I kept likening him to Kobe. But if you watch his career, their careers are very similar because they are constantly polarized. Even when they're not asking for the polarization, the polarization is finding them. They're being blamed for things that they don't even understand they're being blamed for. They're being blamed for just being great.
Right.
They are so great that people are nitpicking their greatness and blaming them for it. So when Errol Spence punishes somebody so much, he has to be on steroids.
Right.
When Kobe Bryant was breaking down and he was doing those rich platelet in his knees, you do realize we know LeBron James was on steroids, but people were saying Kobe Bryant was getting steroids. He wasn't getting rich platelets in his knees.
Right.
When all he was doing was just getting his knees fresher because his knees took a lot of wear and tear. People were accusing him of steroids, a guy who, when you look at his frame, you look at his body, you could tell he's not on anything like that.
Right.
But LeBron James, who went from 240 pounds to a massive close to 280, he put on 40 pounds of muscle,
Right.
and he did this in Miami. We know he was frequenting biogenesis labs with the Jameer Nelsons. It's interesting Jameer Nelson got caught. It's interesting. This was around the same time Balco was going on. All of these people got caught. Barry Bonds. What's the name of that basketball player that also played for the Orlando Magics? Rashad. It was Rashad something. That dude got caught.
Right.
You know, all of these guys got caught in the biogenesis lab taking something. They said LeBron James, they said Rich Paul went there and he was picking up LeBron James's cocktail to give to him. The premature baldness that LeBron James, the chin growth, you know, all of these things, man. No one paid attention to that, right?
Right.
It's the same thing when you look at Terence Crawford. No one holds him accountable. We know he's had mediocre fights at 140. We know he's fought marginal opponents. Why are people building this guy up to be more than what he is? So when people say, do we think Errol Spence is better than Bud? If you look at Bud's resume and you look at Errol Spence's resume, Errol Spence laps Bud
Yeah.
a million times over.
Why is that a question? I don't understand.
There you go, Rashad Lewis. Thank you. These types of guys were taking PEDs in the same place that LeBron was taking PEDs. It's the same thing with Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford's PED accusation is the fact that he was saying that Errol Spence was on the other side of the street. So there's a roadblock. But all Spence did in the confrontation is one guy basically honored his word and the other guy went against his word. Because one guy said, I'm going to clean up my side of the street. All you need to do is clean up your side. Right. Isn't that what Errol Spence did? He collected 3 belts. He cleaned up his side of the street. So when people are saying, well, Spence and Crawford should have happened sooner, you don't understand business. You don't understand boxing. You don't understand the demand. If Spence and Crawford happened sooner, then it wouldn't be for Undisputed. If you guys are billing this fight to be 2 guys that are supposed to be 2 special super fight of the ages types of opponents, then it has to happen for all of the belts. It has to happen for all of the marbles. Yep. And that's exactly what Spence did. He cleaned up completely his side of the street. So what is the excuse?
The people who said it should have happened sooner, they're missing the whole thing. It would have never happened. Anyway, if it can't happen now, it wouldn't have happened then. It would have been excuses then.
You know, let me just say this real quick, Ross. When people say names and resume don't make a fighter, they don't know boxing. You know, I have to quote Roger Mayweather. You don't know shit about boxing. Yeah, a fighter is based on his resume. Right. The reason why Floyd is considered the fighter that he is because Floyd went 26-0. 16-0 of those fights were against legendary opponents. If you look at his resume and the level of competition that he's fought, this is why he is TBE. 16 world. So when you say names and resume don't matter, then you don't know shit.
The reason why,
and you're speaking from a place of ignorance.
The reason why Muhammad Ali is considered the greatest heavyweight is because of who he fought.
Exactly.
And you can't say that don't matter. That determines your skill level. Everybody looks skillful when they fight against somebody who can't fight as well as them.
If you fighting tomato cans, you fighting has-beens, you fighting C-, D+ competition, and you fighting opponents that are considered Spence leftovers, that doesn't tell us you have skills. What that tells us is you're fighting easy fights. You're fighting fights that you're supposed to win.
But here's a question to all Bud fans in here. If Bud's so skillful, why does he look so bad in fights?
Exactly.
Even the fights he wins, he don't. Bud ain't never shut nobody out like Errol Spence or Floyd. Bud ain't never looked like he was just on another level from the people he fight. Bud always in a compromised position when he fight. No matter who you fight, and no matter what's the level, Bud always fight to their level.
Okay, so Earl took the easy route. You see, when people say stuff, we got to go off of
He's saying
the
exactly what
opposition.
he's saying. What
Okay,
Bud
let's
said.
do this, Ross. Let's do this,
Yeah.
Ross. Let's talk about the last 5 opponents. So, would you say that Jeff Horn, or would you say Kell Brook was a harder opponent?
Kell Brook.
Thank you. Sure. So does that sound like easy route in the first variation of it?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, would you say, after the Kell Brook fight, Chris Algieri or or Jose Benavidez, what would be a harder fight?
Chris Algieri was a better fighter at that time.
Okay. And why? Because Amir Khan was way past his prime at that point, right?
Right.
Okay. So would you say Mikey Garcia or who was the person he fought after that?
Mean Green.
Mean Green Machine. you get where I'm going with this?
At the point where Errol Spence fought Mikey Garcia was a top 5 fighter, according to ESPN.
So would you say the Kell Brook that Terence Crawford fought versus the Danny Garcia that Errol Spence fought, which one was a harder fight?
Danny Garcia.
You see how we're debunking this clown in the chat right now? So would you say Dennis Ugas or the Spence leftover Sean Porter version was a harder fighter?
Ugas for sure, because Ugas had just stopped Manny Pacquiao and when Crawford beat Sean Porter, it was like a settled fight. Those punches wasn't even landing. He had pushed him down, and all of a sudden the fight got stopped. Sean Porter wasn't even hurt.
So in the last 5 fights, who had the easy route?
First of all, it's simple. It's even simpler than that. That shit right there is ridiculous, but it's even simpler than that. One dude has 3 welterweight belts. The other dude got 1 welterweight belt. So who was fighting the real champion? Who wasn't?
Thank you. We just debunked the whole easy route. This is what I love about pandering narratives. All you got to do is go to the facts. We just debunked it. The last 5 fights, who had the easier route? It was clear that it was Terence Crawford.
You got to understand, man. You dealing with niggas who raised by their moms. Who dealing with women who dealing with niggas who have a lot of feminine energy. And what do women do? Women just twist up words and make their own delusions just to be right.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, say for instance, a woman would look you right in your face and tell you wrong. Well, both of y'all know the facts laid out that she wrong. The easy route shit came from Errol Spence saying, all the real fighters on my side. So it'd be easier to make these fights first, then make the Terence Crawford fight last, as he would ESPN, but we're gonna make that fight. So,
exactly.
So why wouldn't I take the easy route of making the easy fights and then have to worry about top rank on the back end? They took that and said Errol Spence wants the easy route. He'd avoided Crawford. Those things don't correlate.
Exactly.
Because if you Errol Spence, of course you want to fight Crawford. You probably think Crawford the easiest fight.
Exactly.
Truth be told, let's be honest. Spence and Ugas should have been the undisputed fight.
Listen, man, I've said this before, Ross. I've said this before. Spence has fought 2 undisputed fights unofficially already. The Kell Brook fight was arguably the best fight at 147, if we're being honest with ourselves.
Well,
and then the fight that he fought against Dennis Ugas, because of how many belts was on the line, was another undisputed fight. So when people are sitting here and saying they're debating, see, people don't even understand what debate is. When you debate somebody, it's because you're bringing something of value to be able to debate in the first place. But if you're not bringing anything of value, whether it's intrinsic or extrinsic, you're not debating. What you're doing is you're bringing stupidity. And this is the problem with Bud Man fans. They bring stupidity It's like they're bringing sand to a well.
They're
If you
using
bring
a,
sand to a well, how is the well going to continue to flourish with water? You're drying this damn well out.
they're
If
using
you're
a
coming to the well, you better
right.
come with fucking water, man.
They're using the pound for pound shit, not realizing how pound for pound is a subjective thing. It's an objective thing, right? So pound for pound depends on what people say pound for pound is. It's not a standard. You know what I'm saying? Some people
Yep.
think pound for pound is the top earners in boxing. Some people mean who makes the most pay per view money. Some people think it's just about the skill level, but some people think it's about the whole body of work. So you'll have somebody say, "Bud is
We've
better."
heard this before, Ross,
Right,
that
right. You'll have
somebody's skills was better than Earl. You remember?
right,
You remember who
right,
we heard it from? Mikey Garcia.
right. You,
And what
you,
happened in that fight? They said Mikey Garcia was the Mexican Mayweather. What happened in that fight?
got brutalized. What you people need to understand is some people think a lot of people think pound for pound is if you moved up weight classes, not necessarily who's better than who. Errol Spence been in the same weight class. Bud moved up weight classes. Some people saying pound for pound, but nobody's saying that Bud is a better fighter at welterweight. Notice that. People saying pound for pound, people saying all this shit that's objective, shit that don't have really no shit that's not tangible, right? But who's the best fighter at welterweight? It's not a debate. Who got all the championships? That's not a debate. Nobody notice none of these guys have flat out said that Bud is gonna beat Errol Spence. None of these guys have flat out said that Bud is the better welterweight. Pound for pound is subjective. Think about the pound for pound list. It don't even make no sense. They had Lomachenko at that shit at the top of that shit for so long, and Lomachenko wasn't even like that.
You mean the same Lomachenko that got beaten up by the flaming alcoholic Orlando Solido?
Right. They had it right. They had him at the top of the list. He wasn't even
And then
like that.
ESPN tried to hide his loss and they tried to make him undefeated. You remember that shit?
Right. On ESPN, they was making his losses zero and shit. See, that's what people don't understand, man. The pound for pound list don't mean shit. It's your pound for pound list. People tell me what ESPN said. ESPN don't know shit about boxing, man.
Yep.
And Andre Ward was working for ESPN, so he got to say what he got to say. James
Yep.
Toney is fucking punch drunk. James Toney and nothing. People gonna assimilate to who they think their style the closest to make themselves relevant. James Toney don't fight like Errol Spence. And he think his style is more assimilated more to Bud, so he gonna go for Bud. But at the end of the day, it's all personal. None of these guys have laid down no real logic. All because you say a name here, you say a name there, there ain't no real logic. Fucking Sugar Ray Leonard said Mikey Garcia was gonna beat Errol Spence. What do that mean?
And why did he say Mikey Garcia was gonna be Errol Spence? Because his name was Mikey Garcia.
Right, because he's Mikey Garcia. Basically, nigga, I don't know why the fuck I just said that. These people paying me to say that. So I'm just gonna say this shit and man, he's Mikey Garcia. That was his logic. He's Mikey Garcia. So you gotta understand one thing, man. These boxers, for the most part, they won't have the skill no more. But they'll always have that hunger for the spotlight. So they're gonna say whatever is gonna make them feel more relevant, or whatever is gonna be whatever's gonna be advantageous to them, if that makes sense. Floyd Mayweather was trying to sign Bud. He was trying to sign Bud. That he's like, yeah, man, I think Bud got a chance. Floyd Mayweather never came out his face and said Bud gonna beat Errol Spence. Y'all notice that? Why Floyd is super opinionated. Why he ain't say that? Why has not Floyd came out and said, you know what? Bud Crawford is the best welterweight. You notice he ain't say that? Because it don't make no sense.
Because he remembered the sparring session, man. He knows. It's like Jordan. You know, every time Jordan gets around Kobe, it's this aura of someone seeing the same version of themselves, but in a different format. Right. So they get all smiley, they get all giddy. It's the same thing when Floyd is around Earl. He's all giddy, he's all smiley. He's not like that with Bud. If anything, when Floyd is around Bud, he's looking at Bud like, damn, dog, I feel for you, man. If only you know what Earl about to do to you, man. I feel for you.
Right, because
Because I liken this fight to Floyd versus Zab. The only thing is, Bud is not nice like Zab. You see what I'm saying?
right,
It has the buildup of that, right? Because it's two black fighters, two elite black fighters, but it's just Bud is not nice like that, like Zab was.
no, you're
He
not.
doesn't have those fast twitching hands. He doesn't have that disruption type of ability early on to give Earl anything to make Earl be like, damn, man, I got to think. I got a CompuBox. It's going to be more of Earl's just going to wash him. So when you look at Floyd, Floyd looks at Terence Crawford with pity.
Right,
That's how he looks at him. Like, you about to get damaged. If you notice, Terence Crawford was at the Hall of Fame, right?
right.
Earl Spence wasn't there. You see, guys that are currently dominating,
They don't have. They don't got time.
they don't ever look ahead because they know that they are in that moment.
Right,
They're
they don't have.
locked in.
Fuck you going so if you're in your prime, you talking about you the best fighter in the world. Fuck is you going to Hall of Fame speeches for?
Exactly.
You ain't doing shit but try to kiss up. That's the reason why the motherfucker said his name. He doing one day seat every time it's a Hall of Fame speech. Bud go to every
Exactly.
one, man. Bud always there.
Exactly.
Why you there holding these old niggas' dicks, man? Stop doing it. That's not
Exactly.
gonna make you no better fighter. At the end of the day,
Exactly.
a lot of boxing fans are idiots. They just are, and they don't pay attention. They don't pay attention to their surroundings. They don't pay attention to the history of boxing. They just talk out of their feelings. Did not Pacquiao stop Ricky Hatton quicker than Floyd did? Did he not?
Exactly.
What happened
What
in the
happened with
fight?
Floyd versus Pacquiao?
What happened? That don't mean anything, man. It's
And here's the
it's
thing.
always more.
I'm glad you said that with the Kell Brook fight. But we know Kell Brook was a nosedive paid to lose. You know how we know that? Me and Ross covered the fight. How was Kell Brook outboxing Terence Crawford, weltering his eye up with a jab, and then Bob Arum looks at Kell Brook, and then out of nowhere, Kell Brook just decides to, okay, in this round right here, it's time for me to just act like I'm getting hit. Plus, Eddie Hearn wasn't there to promote the fight, and Dominic Engel wasn't his trainer. Come on, man. If that wasn't top rank strange, what is top rank strange?
That shit was ridiculous, man. Because let's be honest, Bud don't even really got popped like that, man. He couldn't
Yep,
even get rid of a. He couldn't even get rid of a Gamboa like that. He had to go tooth and
exactly.
nail with Gamboa. He don't got popped like that, man. So all of a sudden you got pop enough just to stop Brooke, but Errol Spence though, Errol Spence actually break people eye sockets.
And we saw the replay. We saw Terence Crawford hit. How you hit somebody on the shoulder, but you knocked them out? We saw that. Me and Ross was laughing. He hit Kell Brook on the shoulder, and Kell Brook had to do this extra. I mean, it looked bad, man. That was bad acting on his part. He had to make his body move way more than it needed to move to look like he was knocked out. That was ridiculous, man.
And Terence Crawford didn't make no adjustments. There was no adjustments in that fight.
He was
He
throwing
fought,
the same punches.
he was throwing the same punches and shit. There was no adjustment in that fight. The thing is, if you just want to root for Bud, then just say that.
Yeah.
Then just say that, but don't act like you don't have to carry on what ESPN been saying.
Yep.
Just root for him. You want him to win, just root for him. But you don't have to act like these guys are actually on the same level. Because if they were, one would have two belts, the other would have two belts.
Exactly.
One would have two belts, the other would have two belts, man.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, he ain't established no outside foot position.
All he did was just basically folded and cave in and gave up the fight. And it was the same thing with Sean Porter. How was Sean Porter dominating Terence Crawford the whole fight? And then out of nowhere, Sean Porter just decides, okay, well, I don't want to dominate him no more. Sean Porter's not known to be a boxer, and even he was outboxing Terence Crawford. This is why I say Terence Crawford is so overrated, because you have fighters that are not supposed to be skillfully on his level, but they're landing, they're touching him up.
Touching him easy
Easy.
because his eye was shut when he fought Kell Brook.
Yep.
Errol Spence went how many rounds? 11 with
Yep.
Kell Brook. His
Never.
eyes
His
was
eye was never shut.
his eyes wasn't shut. You know what I'm saying? And thing is, you speaking out of turn. You don't know what the fuck we did. I box, and I know what lead foot dominance is, and believe it or not, Sean, whatever the fuck his name is, it don't matter. Terence Crawford barely be getting lead foot dominance when he be fighting. Barely. He
All he
barely,
does is the same bullshit switch hitting, and he's hoping the switch hitting will confuse the fighter. That's all he's doing.
bro. You gotta get outside leverage to land any punch. That's how you land a punch. But what I'm saying is he didn't get it. It was given to him. At one
Yep.
point, Kell Brook just stopped boxing. He was out boxing him, and at one point he just started following him around. That's what you're not understanding. This say
Exactly. I like the way he said Bud takes forever to find range for someone who's supposed to be highly skilled. And here's the thing.
forever to
Bud's
find range.
reach is 74 or 75 inches. Why is it taking him that long to find range when he has that reach advantage over any fighter? He had
That's
6 inches over Kell Brook, and Kell Brook was outboxing him. He was jabbing him.
should be told because Bud's jab not the greatest. So
Thank you.
when your jab ain't the greatest, that long reach shit don't even matter. Right thing, Bud always fighting on the inside. This is why Bud gonna get stopped super easy. How you gonna fight on the inside with Errol Spence,
Exactly.
the king of the inside?
The
How you gonna
king of
do
the
it?
inside.
The only chance he got is having actual skill, but he don't
And
have
he
enough.
doesn't have that.
He don't have enough to keep Errol. Just think about it. And everybody in this chat could say, we all could admit this. Crawford ain't no Floyd Mayweather, not even close.
Not even fucking close.
We all can say that. Bud Crawford ain't no Floyd Mayweather, not even close. With that being said, Floyd Mayweather and Errol Spence was fighting 10-minute rounds, 5-minute rounds going at it. Floyd did outbox Errol Spence, and Spence normally will end your career if you fight with him that long. Neither one. Floyd career didn't get ended. He ended up having greater fights. Spence ain't get outboxed. They was in there thumping. Do you think Bud could last a 10-minute round with Errol Spence?
Nope.
He's not built that way. He could barely last rounds with Gamboa.
He's not sturdy.
He's not sturdy. So when you say as a man, you have to realize we don't have the luxury as women. We don't have the luxury of women. We can't say things that are not substantiated by facts.
Yep.
In a place where facts is being spoken. We're not speaking about fucking Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer. We ain't speaking about fantasy. We're speaking about
basically we're not talking fictional stories.
we're talking about factual events. And when you say one guy is more skilled than another guy, but he don't have the hardware to back that up, you're now making something that's real into a fantasy, man. And women speak fantasy, men speak logic. How you so much better than a nigga that's way more successful than you in your current? These guys work in the same field. They do the same exact occupation. But one guy make way more money. One guy got way more accolades. But you said the other guy is better working. It don't make sense.
But here's my thing: if Terence Crawford was so good with pace, adjustments, control, distance, right? Why did Mean Machine fold him up in 3 rounds? Because Mean Machine was outpacing him. He was out adjusting him. He was beating him with the control. He was beating him with the distance. Why did Terence Crawford fold?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, think about it as this. At the end of the day, he's speaking about what he would like Bud Crawford to be.
Exactly.
You're saying all the things that Errol Spence do. Errol Spence understands adjustments. He understands control. He understands pace. Errol Spence picks the pace of every fight he's in. He's the one that's adjusting. He's the one that's controlling the fight in the distance. Bud don't do that.
Nope.
You speaking about Bud like he's Floyd Mayweather, man.
Exactly.
When Bud ever control the distance of the fight? Do he not be getting touched with niggas who got shorter arms?
All Bud does is hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. Bud wants to make it a fight where you're hitting him and he's hitting you back, and he's basically in a position to where he could catch you with something. Hopefully, he
Yeah,
can counter something.
that's not the
But you
truth.
can't do that with a guy
Look,
like Spence, and you're not sturdy enough to handle the blows that's coming. This is why Terence Crawford is going to lose the fight, because he's going to go back to familiarity. There's a saying that says familiarity breeds complacency. He's going to go into that dogfight.
straight
The
up.
problem is Terence Crawford is a Chihuahua going into a dogfight with a Tibetan Mastiff.
See, Jordan Johnson, I can't allow you to say one thing and then say another. You can't say one guy is the top of his game and skills, and then say, you know, who won? You make adjustments. You can't be perfect because the guys that are at the top of their skills, guess what? They have fights to where they were perfect.
Exactly.
Bud has no such fight to where he was perfect.
None.
These guys have Floyd Mayweather got fights to where he was perfect. Errol
Let me
Spence
ask you a question. Will Floyd Mayweather get touched up the way Bud did against Mean Machine?
Floyd would stop me from saying ass, man.
Thank you.
But
Would Floyd get touched up the way Bud was getting touched up by Jose Benavidez, who had one leg?
hell no, man. And that's the thing. The level of competition do matter. Because not only is Bud getting touched up, he gets touched up by people that Errol Spence will walk through.
Thank you.
Errol Spence would have walked through Benavidez.
Thank you.
You know
So
what I'm saying?
so Terence Crawford, would Floyd Mayweather get touched up the way Terence Crawford was getting touched up even in the Hank Lundy fight? Hank Lundy was landing punches on him.
Right. And think about it. Niggas never even know who Hank Lundy was. We ain't know none of these niggas that Terence Crawford was fighting for these belts, man. Those was vacant belts when he got undisputed. We ain't know none of them niggas. We barely knew who Undongo was. We ain't know who Hank Lundy was. Who else was the other motherfucker he fought?
Well, here you go,
Molina.
Ross. He just answered your question. He just said no, Floyd would dominate
Floyd
Mean Machine.
dominated me
So what
machine.
you're basically saying is Terence Crawford's inferior. You
He's
just debunked
inferior.
yourself, man.
He's not on that level. He's not on that level because let's be honest. Nobody be lasting when Floyd spar with people. Either he stop them, he embarrass them in the box, or they don't last. They got to quit because they'll have to win. Errol Spence never got stopped. Errol Spence never got embarrassed, and they fought. They fought till they couldn't fight no more. Then they fought to Floyd. Floyd got upset because he couldn't embarrass him, and he said, "Man, fuck out my junk." And then 2 days later, called him back and said, "You know what? I can't just be kicking you out just because you're good. Let's fight again." You know what I'm saying? You think Bud could get in there and spar with Floyd Mayweather in his prime? The
Nope.
way he been looking with these
Nope.
guys? No.
Nope.
That's the litmus test. This
Man,
fight
let me tell you something. If Bud would have done that with Floyd, it would have been embarrassing.
Bud wouldn't even be in boxing right now if he had to spar 10 whole minutes with Floyd Mayweather Jr. He'll be second guessing his whole existence. Everything he knew
Exactly.
about boxing, he will be second guessing it. That's a long time to be in there with somebody that has superior, vast knowledge of a sport that you don't have.
And let me tell you something. That whole sparring session with Floyd, after that, Earl has not looked back in his career.
Hell no. And that's the thing. What you're not understanding is you're missing the whole point because you're on Bud dick. Just get off of it. You're missing the whole point. We know Floyd and Errol not the same. We're saying Errol more closer than Floyd than Bud would ever be. And
In his life.
in some ways, there are things that Errol do better than Bud. I mean, that Errol do better than Floyd.
Yep. Just like
Why?
there are certain things that Kobe do better than Jordan.
There are some things. More importantly, he implements the jab the more better.
Yep.
That's one thing Floyd dad was right. If Floyd didn't want to listen, because Floyd he always want to do this one thing this his way. Floyd could have stood the jab more often because he has
Yep.
a great ass jab when he uses it. Floyd just don't be liking to use it. He like to play around a lot with these
And
motherfuckers
Earl listens to the game plan to the T.
to the
Floyd
T.
will deviate from the game plan.
He'll deviate every now and then, but thing about it is, whenever Floyd want to take the charge of a fight, what did he do? Whenever he stopped playing, and he's like, okay, he starts jabbing. So the thing about it is, Errol Spence is superior to Bud. How is he not? Who's the premier welterweight in the welterweight division? Do y'all motherfuckers think these belts don't matter or something?
Exactly.
One nigga get all the belts, the other nigga don't.
Exactly.
So how is Errol Spence not superior to Bud? We were saying
If Floyd's footwork resembled Terence Crawford, Floyd would have losses.
exactly.
He
Terence
would
Crawford,
have losses in his boxing career. So let's not disrespect Floyd Mayweather here, man.
That's the thing. See, the thing about it is these niggas don't know the difference between looking like you cold and actually being cold.
Exactly.
In a boxing gym, it always be one nigga that can jump rope better than everybody. It always be one nigga that hit the speed bag better than everybody. It always one nigga that got fire footwork that get in there that begin what, man? Because all that shit don't mean nothing if you don't know how to use it.
Exactly.
And if you fight on the front foot, you don't need to have superior footwork because you don't fight like that.
Exactly.
This how you know Errol Spence footwork is top echelon. When the last time you see somebody get away from Errol Spence that he couldn't walk down?
When was the last time Earl Spence wasn't able to cut the ring?
That,
Shit.
that, that,
Even
that's what I
Leonard
mean. That's
Ellerby,
what I mean
even
by walk.
Leonard Ellerby said
That's what
when
I
they
mean by
was
walk down. Walk down, cutting the ring out. He's walking
exactly.
down. Yeah.
Even when Leonard Ellerby was talking about the sparring match between Earl and Floyd, Leonard Ellerby said Earl cut the ring. He cut the ring off.
Yeah.
And this is Floyd Mayweather we're talking about here. He cut the ring off.
So what does that mean? Him and Floyd Mayweather Jr. They was in there fighting for real.
Yep.
Because Floyd was his footwork was good enough. His footwork was top echelon. If you could cut the ring off on Floyd Mayweather, you have great footwork. The problem is we don't think footwork good unless the person going backwards.
Exactly.
It's a skill to be able to cut off the ring. I don't understand.
Exactly.
It's a skill to be able to do that. The reason why Triple G was having those knockouts at a higher level than Canelo was because Canelo don't really know how to cut off the ring like that.
Yep.
Triple G do. Triple G do. It's a different type of footwork, man.
And I'm glad you said that, but Triple G wasn't even cutting the ring off nowhere near the level of what Earl Spence does. This is the thing. You're talking about a master back foot fighter that went up against a master front foot fighter.
Right.
Because Floyd knows how to fight on his toes. Nobody can fight on their toes better than Floyd. Period. But nobody can cut the ring off like Earl. And this is where this Spence and Crawford fight boils down to. When Earl cuts the ring off, that's why you see Andre Ward is asking the question. That's why you see even Roy Jones Jr. is asking the question. When Earl cuts that ring off, what is Bud going to do when that ring gets cut off? Because it's going to get cut off.
People don't realize
What is he going to do at that point?
Bud is going to get stopped, man.
Thank you.
Because the thing is, even your Dennis Ugas got stopped. Your Dennis Ugas, one of the most technically sound at welterweight, got stopped, and he a bigger guy. Terence Crawford don't have the intelligence to know when to trade with Errol Spence, when to get out the way. He don't have the skill set to get out the way. He had Crawford has a hurt dog mentality. Whenever a dog is hurt, they just fight back. They even fight back against somebody that's trying to help them.
Exactly.
They don't have the intelligence to know when to fight, when not to fight. Blase. He has a hit dog mentality, a hurt dog.
So
mentality.
basically, what you're saying is, even when Terence Crawford doesn't want to fold, his body's gonna fold off of his own self because of the punishment that he's gonna be getting when Earl Spence cuts the ring off, right?
He gonna. I feel like if Bud Crawford, if they don't stop the fight, Bud Crawford's gonna get knocked unconscious. It's gonna be brutal. It ain't gonna last as long as It's not gonna last as long as Ugas, because Ugas is more durable. Ugas is a bigger guy, more durable. Bud get hurt by everybody, man.
And there's truth to what Ross is saying, because Derek James was so impressed with the fact that Ugas, even though Ugas physically, you could tell mentally he was out. He was checked out mentally. Earl took the mental out of him, but physically his body was still there, even though he was taking punishment. The last time I seen a fighter take that much punishment from Earl was Kell Brook. And only reason why those guys lasted as long as they did in punishment is because of their size.
That was it. They was
Bud doesn't
big.
have that size.
He don't have that size.
So he's gonna get folded quicker.
He don't have that size, and I keep telling y'all, motherfucker, he not Floyd. Floyd Mayweather is from a different breed, different era, has a different mentality. Whenever you run 5, 6, 7 miles a day on your own, you have a mentality that's not gonna break. Floyd is not as big, is not a big guy, but Floyd fight. He has the mentality of a big guy. You got down there, you gotta kill Floyd to stop Floyd. Crawford not so much. We've seen Crawford get stopped by. We've seen Crawford get hurt by little niggas.
Man, we seen Crawford go from straight to bow-legged off of Gamboa. Gamboa has made him permanently bow-legged.
Right. So you made him do the stanky leg, man. so that's what people need to understand, man. These guys are not in the same league, and it's evident by what they accomplished once they came to the same level.
They don't even have the same punch resistance as Errol Spence, and they don't give the same level of accumulation of punishment. It's kind of like, have you guys ever been to a tattoo shop and gotten a tattoo done, and you hear that constant and it's happening for hours, right?
Right.
And let's say it's happening at the most uncomfortable spots of your body. That's Errol Spence fighting, man. It's that constant. How is Bud going to be able to deal with that?
Right.
And that's what Bud man fans cannot answer. They cannot answer this question to you. They cannot tell you. They won't tell you, well, Bud got skills. Well, we're asking the question. When Errol Spence cuts the ring off, give us, from boxing X's and O's, a breakdown on what Bud is going to do defensively to get Earl to get off of him. If you can tell us that, man, you'll be the first one to ever tell us that, but you won't be able to, because you know why? It goes back to what Ross was saying. He calls it the hurt dog. I've been calling it from day one. Hit me, I'm going to hit you back. When Terence Crawford gets hit, his automatic reaction is to hit you back because it's a confidence thing. And until he hits you back, he's going to always feel like he needs to get that get back. Here's the problem with Spence. Spence is a hellified counterpuncher. And Spence is a guy who, when you start showcasing chinks in the armor, he punishes you for it. And he punishes you relentlessly. When you make mistakes in the ring, Spence will hit you with punches with mean fucking intentions. And he will do it over and over and over again. That taunting crap doesn't work. I've seen fights where guys try to taunt Spence, guys try to get into this dog fight. Go look at the Chris Van Heeteren fight when Chris Van Heeteren tried it. Spence just didn't pay him no attention and just kept punishing him until Chris Van Heeteren hit the canvas right where he was standing. It's going to be the same thing with Terence Crawford. He's going to do this, taunting. He's going to do this talking. He's going to do this jarring. He's going to keep his hands down. He's going to get hit with shots. And what you guys are going to see is it's not the body shots, because Spence is not going to be messing him up with those body shots that people think it's the body shots people don't see. Because Spence does this thing where when he's breaking away from you, he hits you on the outside in the rib cage. I don't know if people pay attention to that. Those are the most debilitating body shots in a breakaway than when Spence is actually coming in, setting his stance up, and then hitting you with a flush body shot. Every time he breaks away, he hits you to the side. We're going to see in this fight, Terence Crawford grimace. Don't be surprised if you see his mouthpiece come out. You remember when Manny Pacquiao hit Keith Thurman with that perfectly placed body shot and Keith Thurman's mouthpiece came out of his mouth? You're going to see that in the Terence Crawford fight. I guarantee it.
This is going to be brutal, man. And think about it. Terence Crawford fans know he's not going to win this fight. They just don't like people like Errol Spence who are confident. They want to see people who are winners lose. They know he can't win this fight. They're hoping he wins. Or they hope, and they're the type of people that Crawford gets stomped out in this fight. They're only going to talk about that one good punch that he landed.
Yep.
Like, yeah, but man, remember the third round when he hit him? That shit was crazy. Like he did a job. He's supposed to hit the other guy.
You mean like when Ugas landed those flurries that he landed? But we don't care about that. We care about the outcome of the fight.
Right. But
That's just like when Kell Brook was landing early on in the fight. But what happened? Earl put this guy on a knee. Do you understand the level of punishment that you have to be hitting a guy with for a guy to submit to where his knees give out and he folds in a fight? I don't think people understand that, man. People don't understand how this thing accumulates.
But this how you know people be full of shit. A motherfucker be like, I like Bud. Bud to show that he got more skills. Mind you, there's nothing in Bud's career that shows he got more skills than Errol
And
Spence.
there's nothing that you could explain to show that Bud got more skills.
But then on the same hand, they'll be like, man, fuck. They'll be like, man, Brian way better than Kobe. How? What skills?
Exactly.
So it's like these motherfuckers are bipolar in their opinion on sports.
And this is why I was talking about the other day, Ross, when I said 50-50. When you are a 50-50 individual, you are a weak, inferior man boy. You're not even a man. Me and Ross are sitting here telling you definitively why Errol Spence is going to win the fight. Ross is giving it to you technically. Me, I'm just giving it to you because of I'm looking at both fighters. I'm looking at their makeup. I'm looking at who's more sturdy, who could handle more punishment and who can't. Spence has shown time and time again his chin is gray night, man. At 154, he fought a guy named Emmanuel Larty. That was the hardest hit he ever took. And his knee didn't even buckle. He just shook that shit off like the Terminator and went right back into punishing this dude.
Exactly.
So I know what Errol Spence is going to do. All of this Terence Crawford got power. Please, man, Spence has been hit in sparring by light heavyweights. There's nothing Terence Crawford is going to throw that's going to rattle Errol Spence's cage, man. If anything, he's only going to piss Errol Spence off even more to punish him even more.
What he can do is make Errol Spence mad, man.
There you go.
But the thing about it is, it's not, do we know what control is? Do you know what control is?
Exactly.
Who controls their fights more, Errol Spence or Terence Crawford?
It's Errol Spence, man.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, everybody here knows nobody right now that's fighting now, not ever, whoever fought. Nobody right now controls their fights like Errol Spence. So what are you talking about?
When have we ever seen Errol Spence hit the canvas?
Never.
I could name a few fights where Terence Crawford's knee hit that damn. I could name a fight where Terence Crawford actually completely hit the canvas. That was the Mean Machine fight. He was getting out counter punch. For a guy who you keep saying has skills, why is a guy who had a 9-month layoff? Do you understand Bob Arum made it so easy for Terence Crawford? He gave him a guy who was a no-name, who had a 9-month layoff. This was supposed to be a fight where Terence Crawford was supposed to just completely wash this guy. And this guy comes into the fight and he out counter punches him. He lands blows on him and then he drops him. It got to the point where Andre Ward was like, yo, Bud, you my boy, but yeah, you hit that canvas, man. Mm-hmm. You had to be honest with him.
Yep.
Terence Crawford was trying to be in denial about the fact that he hit the canvas. And this is weaker opposition. These are guys who don't have the punch resistance, guys who don't come in with the constant pressure that Errol Spence is coming in at. And they're landing successfully time and time again on Terence Crawford. So that control shit you talking about is not going to do Bud any favors, because you can't control something when you're constantly under pressure. Mm-hmm. When somebody got you under deep waters consistently, how are you going to control that? And that's what you can't answer, man.
Exactly, man. There's no people say here's the thing about being a man. We don't have the luxury of just throwing out shit and not having nothing to stand, like nothing to verify what we're saying, right? You can't just say such got more skills and then And then people ask, well, how is that? What proof do you have? You're like, man, I've just been looking at him, man. And one nigga, like, no, man, skills equate to something tangible in the real world, right?
Exactly.
Motherfuckers who got eye hand coordination skills, they either gonna be what? They're gonna be boxers, or they either gonna be surgeons, they're gonna be what? They're gonna be architects. You don't just have eye and hand skill, you're gonna be a shortstop in baseball. You don't just have eye and hand skill coordination at the highest level, and there's nothing to show for it, right? This nigga had all these skills. What has he done at the welterweight division to prove these skills, man? You tell me,
Exactly.
man. What has he done? Who he whooped?
Exactly.
How many belts he got? You talk
I'm
one dude.
glad you said hand-eye coordination because with Barry Bonds, we know. We've seen him hit pitches from Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson was a lethal, overly sized pitcher, man. This guy was striking out so many people, but every time Barry Bonds came on the mound, this guy was throwing balls at Barry Bonds because Barry Bonds' hand-eye coordination was off the charts. There has to be something tangibly in your resume that shows that you are doing these things. So when you say Bud has control, name a fight, name a situation, name a particular moment where he displayed this. We could name many fights where Errol Spence has cut off the ring and punish guys. Shit, we can go off the last fight. Just look at your Dennis Ugas's eye.
Right. And then you can't say a fighter set up a TKO when the fighter opposing had got TKO wasn't even hurt, man.
Exactly.
So it's like y'all desperate and delusional because
it's called reaching, man.
How you taking credit for a TKO where the fighter wasn't even hurt? His dad just stopped the fight. Shawn Porter wasn't hurt. Shawn Porter was coherent.
Yep.
That wasn't no TKO, man. That was what you call a rigged fight.
Yep.
Know the difference. Shawn Porter was not. We seen Shawn Porter hurt because we seen him fight Errol Spence. He was hurt in the Errol Spence fight. That's how you look when you're hurt. Your eyes go in the back of your head. That's how you look.
Okay, forget the fight, Ross. Let's talk about the preparation. Why did Shawn Porter prepare like his life depended on it when he was fighting Errol Spence? But when he was prepping for Terence Crawford, he started training camp at home. How can you take a fight very seriously if you're training from home with your kid in the background yelling? Is that professional training right there? From home? He spent his first 2 weeks of his training camp at home with his baby mama in the background yelling at the kid saying, "Get away from daddy." I mean, come on.
When you gotta understand what when you know you going in there, y'all going in there to throw the fight, and you and your dad supposed to look like y'all on different terms, but in reality, y'all not on different terms. He just gonna be the scapegoat for stopping the fight too early. Then you're not gonna work out to your fullest.
Exactly.
When you ain't gonna win. Why you gonna work out to your fullest when you know you ain't gonna win? You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why. But at the end of the day, control is not little nudges, maneuvers. Control is having dominance over a fight.
Yep.
Not little. What is that? What is that? You're saying everything that can't be quantified.
Exactly.
No, control is quantified. How many rounds of this fight did you win before you got the stoppage? That's control.
Exactly.
Do you initiate? Do you control when the fight is engaged, when it's not engaged? That's control. You getting dropped by lower level competition shows you have little to no control over the fight, and you rely on your athleticism to get lucky.
We can look at the last fight with your Dennis Ugas, and we can see control. Because in the first half of the fight, they was thumping. They were going back and forth. It was a good trade-off. But what happened in the second half of the fight, it alludes to what Ross was talking about. Your Dennis Ugas lost his legs, and mentally he was checked out. That means Errol Spence was controlling the fight.
Controlling it.
Come on, man.
He maneuvered his opposite unfavorable positions. When Bud get hit too many times, he gets upset, and he just so happens to be physically more gifted than the guys he fighted because they're not really that physically gifted. And he uses athleticism to get wins in fights where he should have won easily with just his mind.
So you think against Spence, is he going to be more physically gifted, more athletic?
Hell no. That's the reason why this is a bad look for him. It's a bad look all the way around.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, Bud is not the fighter that Spence is. He's not the boxer that Spence is. So he can't just use his athleticism to overpower Spence.
You can't. Bud will not be able to physically control Spence. Spence is the one that's going to physically control Bud. He's the bigger guy.
Jordan Johnson, you saying shit, but we never seen Bud do that.
And he's saying shit in Spence's favor and not even in Bud's favor. I mean, this is ridiculous.
You said the shit that Spence do.
Exactly.
Spence physically put people in positions, moving their body in unfavorable. That's what Spence do. Bud don't do that. Bud get overpowered by little niggas. Bud don't do that.
Don't do nothing. Indongo, you remember the fight we talked about it? Indongo hit this motherfucker with 4 or 5 body shots. I want y'all to go back and watch that fight. This is how I know when Spence hits him to the body, I feel real bad for Terence Crawford. I saw Terence Crawford's tongue come out, man. I said to myself, well, damn, if that's Spence's punch resistance is doing this, I wonder what is going to be coming out. Is it going to be blood?
But listen, Bud don't want that fight. But if you wanted it, we wouldn't be talking about this. We talking about now. We'll be talking about these guys getting in shape, getting ready to fight. This, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? We won't be talking about one nigga keep making excuses why he can't fight. Even Bud, he got more faith in Bud than Bud do.
Yep.
Bud wouldn't even say this shit about himself. I'd be physically putting people and dictating opponents. He wouldn't even say that shit about himself, man.
Exactly.
The fuck is you talking about? Bud be physical.
Yep.
Bud be whooping on niggas who he's supposed to be knocking out in the first 3 rounds.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this, Ross.
9 rounds and shit.
I'm gonna tell you this, Ross. I already know the game plan. I already know what Errol Spence is gonna do. It don't matter at this point. He's gonna do the same thing that Floyd did, but in a more brutalizing fashion. Floyd didn't play around with Manny. If you notice, Floyd threw punches in between punches. That's how he nullified Manny's punches and bunches. That's what Errol Spence is going to do to Terence Crawford. When they're exchanging, Earl's going to be throwing punches in between punches. But he's going to throw Bud off with that shit, man. That's exactly what he's going to do.
First of all, just how you know Bud ain't as skilled as people think he is. Bud has a hard time dealing with the jab. A very hard time dealing with the jab. And he has never fought anyone who has the jab of Errol Spence.
Yep.
Not one. He has not took any fight to prepare him for the onslaught he's about to endure. He has not.
And you can't prepare for Errol Spence because there's no other fighter on the planet that fights like him.
He has not, and he has not took the fights to prepare himself for the brutalizing fashion. This guy is he doesn't have the skill.
8, 8, 6, 7. It was in round 5, round 7, and round 9.
He doesn't
in the fight against Indongo. It was in those rounds.
He doesn't have the skill to be in the ring with Errol Spence. Outside of the skill, he don't have the size and he don't have the heart. I can see this. I can see him getting stopped between round 6 and round 8.
Yep.
Round 6 and round 8.
And Jose Benavidez, the reason why I always point to that fight, Benavidez was outpacing Terence Crawford. This is how I know. I always look at fights to say, okay, what advantage Spence is going to have against Bud? I look at Bud's fights. In the Jose Benavidez fight, he was outpacing him. Spence is an outpacer. So right there, you have one blueprint on how to dominate Bud. Just outpace his ass. The Mean Machine fight, Mean Machine was out counterpunching Bud. So there is a blueprint to where you can out counterpunch him and drop him. In the Indongo fight, Indongo was hitting him with body shots that showed that Bud's body cannot hold up. And then, okay, bro. And then when you look at the last fight against Sean Porter was showcasing that if you're busy enough, if you're active enough, you can get jabs in just off the strength of that. Sean Porter's not even the best jabber. And Sean Porter was getting jabs off of Terence Crawford because he was active. Come on, man.
That's right. Sean Porter got short arms, everything, man. Sean Porter a football player, man. He a running back, man. He in there struggling with a running back. Didn't even get no real stops. That was the worst rigged fight I had ever seen, man.
Next to the Kell Brook fight.
Right.
Because in the Kell Brook fight, Eddie Hearn knew that shit was rigged. Eddie Hearn wasn't even there to promote it, man. They asked Eddie Hearn, "Hey man, why you not there?" And he said, "Come on, man. I already know. I'm dealing with Bob Arum here. I know what the outcome is going to be." He said that. Nobody paid attention to that. He said it.
Think about this, man. Crawford finally landed a flush punch, and Sean Porter go down, but Sean Porter got the strength and the wherewithal to like bang on the canvas and get up and look regular, and then they get into another skirmish, and the punch is not landing. He just put his elbows on Sean Porter's head to push him down, and they stopped the fight. They stopped the fight. Like, that don't make no sense. And then Bud Crawford fans like, man, he stopped him. He stopped him. It's like they don't even care that it's not real.
Listen, Ross, I'm gonna give you a treat. I'm gonna give Rip B Brazy a treat because I know Ross got to go, and I'm gonna give 8A6Y and Hustle Guy a treat. Go watch the Juan Molina fight. Juan Molina was landing counter shots on Bud. I was just doing film study on that fight 2 days ago. Who the fuck is Juan Molina to be landing counter punches on Bud? Do not get me started with Terence Crawford. Please do not get me started with this dude.
Yeah,
Juan Molina was landing counter punches on Terence Crawford, but you keep saying Terence Crawford got skills.
But you gotta realize that everything he's saying only apply to Errol Spence. It don't apply to Bud. He said, that's what happens to all them dudes. A boxing brain is something hard to see by an untrained eye. Exactly. You have an untrained eye because you're struggling to see Errol Spence's greatness by even comparing him to Bud.
Exactly.
You have an untrained eye. Because anybody who knows boxing knows Bud ain't as good as people say he is. Because if he was, he would be the one with the 3 belts.
Yep.
Not one. And the belt he got is the most disrespected belt. Nobody don't even respect the WBO belt.
I'm about to motivate Ross right now because me and him said something. I don't even remember if Ross remembered this emphatic moment. We said if Terence Crawford was that dude, how come when Errol Spence had the car crash, why didn't Bud go out there to fight Manny Pacquiao and collect those other belts? You remember that moment?
Right. What was holding him back? But Errol Spence was out of boxing for like a year, a little over a year.
Yep.
Or a year and a half, I think. What was stopping Bud from fighting these guys, man? Why was he still fighting trash fighters?
Exactly.
But he's skilled. He's skilled, right? Why was he not fighting guys of merit? Because Bud not like that.
There you go.
He never was.
There you go.
Cause when you like that, do that. Okay, this nigga down. Who up next? I can't wait for him. Why you not?
So I'm gonna carry my side. I'm gonna carry the sport. Right. I'm gonna carry the welterweight division. That's what he should have done.
And if he was that skilled, if he couldn't get the fight he wanted at welterweight, he'd have moved up to 154. What one of them niggas like Floyd used to do.
Exactly.
Why if I can't move up to 154 with one of them niggas while he's waiting on Spence?
And we don't want to hear that shit that Bud is not his own boss. I can't speak on the business. Because let me tell you something. When Sugar Ray Leonard and these guys were with Bob Arum, these guys said, they told Bob Arum straight up, I want this fight. When he wanted to get that get back with Roberto Duran, he didn't want no other fight. Bob Arum was trying to throw so many other fights Sugar Ray Leonard's way. Sugar Ray, nah, I want my get back. Yeah. So if a fighter wants a fight, they could demand the fight. Let's just be honest. Terence Crawford was happy with the fact that Bob Arum was feeding him bottom feeders, man. Let's be honest here.
First of all, those were the guys that he wanted to fight. He wanted to fight those guys. He didn't want to fight those other guys. But let's be honest. Floyd already paid the cost to be the boss. Everybody already know. There's no excuse for anybody going to top rank and saying, man, Bob controlling my career. There's no excuse. Why are you over there? Why are you even over there to begin with? Unless you wanted your career control.
Exactly.
You could have went to the PBC and controlled your own shit like everybody else.
Exactly.
Nah, you went over there. Floyd was a shot caller because he was with the PBC.
Exactly.
He wasn't a shot caller when he was over there with Bob Arum. That's the reason why he fucking left. And
now he's a free agent, and now he's getting PBC treatment, and he's still finding a way to duck. Yeah, so that means he's being a duck.
Okay. Let's say I give you that premise. Let's say I say you're right. Bob Arum was keeping Terence Crawford from being the greatest, from fighting the greatest niggas. Let's say I'll give you that. Bob Arum in the way right now, it is still a problem.
Exactly.
So fuck is you talking about, man? I gotta get the fuck up out of here, man. But
Yeah,
man, this
man,
shit,
I got to get up out of here too.
yeah.
It's been real. Hey, man, anybody else before we leave, donate to motivate, man. We giving you guys that heat and that fire. We separating the weak from the strong. We telling you guys what nobody else wants to tell y'all, and we're countering people that are giving their opinions because that's what they're giving. An opinion is like an asshole. Everybody got one.
Right.
But until you can prove facts and you can show stuff in an actual fight like we've been talking about, because we have proof here. We could talk about the Udenis Ugas fight, and we could talk about how he controlled Udenis Ugas, because that actually did happen. We could talk about how he controlled Danny Garcia. We could talk about how he controlled Sean Porter. We could talk about these things. Until you can show that in an actual fight, then what you're doing is no different than what Terence Crawford is doing. It's called ducking and stalling.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't hear nothing from Spence's side. That's the hold up. Mike Compinger has been saying it. Everybody else has been reporting it. They saying that the issue is with Terence Crawford. So you guys need to hold Terence Crawford feet to the fire. Y'all need to demand this fight to happen because this is the biggest fight in the sport. We cannot have another Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua situation happen all over again. The sport of boxing cannot afford that. And Terence Crawford is trying to make that happen. And I don't understand how you as a boxing fan, instead of you being so biased, and like Ross said, being so much on Terence Crawford's dick, that you cannot tell him, yo, what are you doing, man? We just want to see you fight.
Mm-hmm.
I miss those fight fans that used to just say, you know what, man, fuck all this bullshit. I want to see y'all just fight. And y'all not even doing that.
Exactly.
This is crazy to me, man. But that's all I got to say, man.
Low key, they feel like a Bud Crawford loss is a loss in their own life. And straight up, they would rather him be praised for something he's not than to actually take the chance to go out and prove it. So they'll rather have the argument of they never fought, man. If they would have fought, man, Terence Crawford would have won if they would have fought. But they never fought, so I'm just gonna go with Crawford because man, Crawford remind me of Bud. Crawford got skills.
So what you saying, Ross, is for the next 6 months after the Spence and Crawford fight, we gonna see a lot of motherfuckers disappear off the earth.
They're not gonna, yeah, because thing is, it's gonna be like they lost the fight. It's gonna be like they lost the fight because two things is they have familiarity with Bud because Bud is like them. You know what I'm saying? Somebody
So basically, you're saying Bud is like them, mediocre as fuck.
Bud is like them. Somebody who has a little something, but not living to his full potential. Most niggas don't live to their full potential.
Facts.
So niggas who don't live to their full potential, they're gonna gravitate to niggas that live to their full potential, and they're gonna have problems with niggas who are living to their full potential. So it's gonna be not only did they go take a loss, they're gonna take a loss to that one type A personality that they hate, the dude that always succeed. Niggas who are mediocre hate successful niggas.
So basically, the dude that doesn't talk, then it puts the dude that's all about action, basically.
Yeah, they hate the dude. They hate the dude that's successful. When
Yep.
they really should be questioning their own lives. Why
Yep.
are you not successful? Why have you never finished anything? Why you never see nothing to fruition?
So basically, you're throwing the dig at all of these people that's hating on Al Heyman. Because let's be honest, above Floyd, above Earl Spence, the guy who's hated on more than all of these guys and his level of polarization surpasses all of these guys is Al Heyman. People just hate the guy. Just when they even hear his name, they cringe.
They really cringing at themselves. So how you gonna hate somebody just because they're successful? But weak people, somebody's success means their loss. That's how they see it. They don't think about how, damn, maybe I need to see what this guy doing. Maybe I need to mimic some of the shit. Their success is their loss. Them getting bitches is the reason why they can't get business. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Exactly.
they're also the type of people who attack celebrities who got money or or justify it because they got it and I don't got it, so they justify their hatred because let's be honest, they never amount to this shit. And instead of just looking themselves in the mirror and say I got to do better, they rather just take it out on somebody else, man. This is the problem.
Exactly.
There's nothing that justifies anyone saying that Bud Crawford is better than Errol Spence. But
Exactly.
they take pride in saying that because they feel like attack on Errol Spence is attack to all them niggas who always got all the bitches, all them niggas that had money, all them niggas who always got what they wanted out of life.
Yep.
And they the reason why I couldn't get the business. Cause they the reason why I ain't. No, you the reason why you ain't shit. You the reason why you couldn't get no hoes. You the reason why you always broke. Nobody held you back.
So basically, they need to take stock in inventory and look at the person in the mirror. Basically,
The person in the mirror. Then when you start taking responsibility for your own actions, you'll be able to hold other people accountable. When you start taking responsibility for your own actions, you'll be able to see things for what they are because you no longer making excuses for yourself.
so basically, what you're saying vicariously is Bud needs to start taking actions for the fact that he's using any stupid excuse to stop to show that he's ducking and stalling. Stop doing that and just actually sign the contract, right?
And his fan base needs to start taking control of their own lives, taking control of and hold themselves accountable. That way, they won't feel justified to hold somebody accountable who's clearly not who they say they are. You only doing that because you present a version of yourself that you not really.
Exactly.
So to justify how you live, you go out, you find a celebrity that mimics that to justify them. And truth be told, you and him and the fan base all full of shit. Because
Exactly.
you don't
Well
say
said, man.
anything that really means.
We've said this 1,000 times over. It's getting to the point where we've said this 1,000,000 times over. You are who you root for. The reason why me and Ross root for Spence is because, like Spence, we're definitive, we're absolute, and we're resolute. Spence was on ES News 6 months ago. Well, not 6 months, close to 6 months ago, saying he already signed the contract. He already agreed to all the terms. I mean, that's crazy, man.
Right. And
just thinking about that is crazy to me.
Yeah, if Bud win, I'll give him props. But Bud not gonna win.
There is no scenario where Bud wins, man.
This ain't personal. I'm not like y'all. Y'all pick somebody that y'all don't like, and even if they do something that's good, you won't give them props. I'm not like y'all. I'm different. But
Yeah.
Bud has not fought he has not fought the type of level of competition that will take for him to even prepare his body to even be in the ring with Spence. Number one. Number two, he's not the better boxer. Spence is far the better boxer. Spence don't get hit mud as Bud. Spence controls the ring better than Bud. Spence he has a better jab. The problem is y'all don't know boxing fundamentals, so y'all don't know that's how you're supposed to look when you fight.
Exactly.
You're so used to all the extraordinary, explosive, for no reason, athletic shit, but you can't even accept the basics of the boxing. Keeping your elbows in, keeping your chin down, sticking the jab, cutting off the ring. All the extra
consistently leading with the jab.
Right.
Going to the body.
Y'all don't understand it. And you think what Bud doing is close to Floyd. What Bud does is a poor man's Floyd Mayweather, man. Floyd do a lot of fancy shit because he has the basis of boxing mastered. So he could do all that shit and still be fundamentally sound. He don't get hit while he doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Crawford get hit when he doing all that slick shit. Still be getting hit. So it's not the same. Y'all want Crawford to be Floyd so bad that you having horrible takes and he making y'all look stupid.
Yep.
And then as a real man, you gotta understand one thing. Pound for pound list don't mean shit if you don't agree with it. The ESPN list, that don't mean nothing. If you don't agree with it, how somebody else's list gonna mean more to you than what your list is?
Exactly.
How you gonna base your list on what ESPN said? ESPN had Ronda Rousey as the best fighter of the year. What year? Over
Yep.
Floyd Mayweather Jr., man. They
Exactly.
obviously don't know what the fuck they talking about.
And this is the dumbest comment. The basics are the foundation, but the best fighters dominating the gray areas like Bud. That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
When you have the basis, you don't fight in no gray area. It's black and white. Roy Jones Jr. fought in the gray area. That's why he always be getting knocked
And
out.
that's why his ass got knocked out a lot towards the end of his career.
Motherfuckers that fight in the gray area be getting knocked out, man. They be knocking niggas out when they get knocked out. I love Deontay Wilder, but Deontay Wilder fights in the gray area a lot.
Yep.
So either he gonna flatline your ass or he gonna get stopped. If Deontay Wilder had basic fundamentals, he could still even win. He could still even win those fights that he got cheated on.
Man, listen, man. If Deontay Wilder had Errol Spence basic fundamentals with his power, he'd be the greatest boxer ever.
He'll be killing motherfuckers, literally. God know he was doing when he didn't get a nigga the fundamentals. He like, this nigga will kill somebody.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
he'd be the greatest boxer ever, man.
Right. They'll probably have to kick him out of boxing. They're like, bro, you committed murders too much.
Yep.
Nah, man.
So when niggas are creating shit saying gray area, that's like them trying to be scientific and say gray matter, man. You sound stupid.
Now you gotta understand what they mean with the gray area. When people don't have proof, when they don't have logic, when they don't have facts, they say things like, my intuition told me to do this. They say things like the spirits. They say shit like they say shit like the gray area. Why? Because that shit can't be quantified.
Yep.
So it's not tangible, right? So when you lay down the facts, they can be like, yeah, well, in reality, Spence is better, but in the gray area, Crawford can't be touched.
So niggas trying to sound so philosophical. It's like a homeboy of mine used to say, niggas trying to sound so philosophical to the point to where they sound stupid.
Yeah, the thing about it is, in boxing, there's nothing philosophical about boxing, man. Boxing is what it is. The nigga who won is the nigga who won. The motherfucker who got all the belts is the nigga that's the best, man.
Exactly.
You know, when he won those belts from actual champions, not vacated shits, not like how Canelo won his shit. When he beat actual champions and took those belts off them niggas' waist, he's the best, man.
Exactly.
He's the best, man. We talk. God is intangible. God is tangible. Everything you see,
exactly,
is physical proof that God exists.
Exactly.
Because it's held together by atoms. There's
exactly
atoms that hold all this shit together. Who you think controls the atoms? Everything you see with your eyes.
Now you speaking on things that you really out of your depth.
Everything you see with your eyes is a physical manifestation that God exists. So it don't even make no sense. What you're talking about, and you doing all this just to be on a nigga dick who don't believe in him, who don't believe in himself.
You believe in Terence Crawford more than he believes in himself. Damn, boy, I got to give you that one, boy. This is what I want you to do. Tell him, sign the damn contract. Stop ducking and stalling.
Right, dude talking so much he not even listening. I just said that the intangibles matter more. The intangibles is the atoms that's holding the tangibles together.
Exactly.
Listen and stop trying to talk. You're not smarter than me.
Exactly.
If you listen, I'm already saying the shit that you saying.
He's so philosophical to where he sounds stupid.
The intangible, the shit you can't see, the atoms is what's holding the tangible together. The problem is when it comes to Bud, it's not this deep. It's not this deep.
Yep.
The skills you say Bud got just haven't manifested to anything. That's why so there's no essence of them. Because if they really existed in the spiritual world, what you're trying to talk about, it would be manifested in the physical, but it's not.
Exactly.
The manifestation of Spence's skills is tangible. We can see it because it exists in somewhere else. So we see it here in the real world.
And just ask you, Dennis Ugas's eye.
Right. But has no intangibles because intangibles manifest as tangible evidence. He has no intangibles.
This is the first time in a long time I've seen you make somebody seem so stupid.
He doing all
I'm
that on his
actually enjoying
own,
this,
man.
man.
I'm trying to put some fat, I'm trying to put some fat on his head. I'm trying to teach him something. He doing all that shit on
Woo.
his own, man. There's nothing in this world that exists in the spiritual world, intangible world, that's not manifested in the physical world. So you can't
Yep.
say somebody got all this skill and there's no proof thereof of it.
There you go.
You're
That's
great.
just and when you said God, you can't say God is all this. God is intangible and all of that. When we know there's a scripture that says the heavens declare His glory, the firmaments His handiwork. All you
Yeah.
got to do is look outside and look at the sky,
Right.
and that's God right there.
What's holding all that shit together up there?
Exactly.
What's keeping the sun from falling on us, man? You know what I'm saying? You don't gotta see everything to know that shit at work. But thing about it is the reason why you can't present nothing tangible, and you gotta talk about the gray area, because you know and deep down your heart that Bud ain't really shit. You know that.
Exactly, and you got to reach.
You gotta reach.
He's basically doing what Bud is doing in the negotiations. He got to reach
You
and
gotta reach.
stall and duck.
You gotta reach and bring God in the conversation with Bud.
Exactly.
Think about how much you delusional to where we're talking about Bud Crawford and you bring God in the conversation. You that much on this nigga dick that you brought God in the conversation. God has no business being in this conversation. We talk about a
Disrespectful,
motherfucker
dog.
that has not created anything.
Like my homeboy said, dog, so philosophical to where you sound stupid.
Yeah, bro. Bro, just say I like Bud. I want Bud to win, but you can't prove how Bud gonna win, and you can't prove that Bud's better than Errol Spence. Because if he was, guess what? The whole world be saying the same thing. If he was, he would have the belts at welterweight. He don't, and he has no excuse. He could have went and got those. He could have went. He could have went and at least got the one with Manny Pacquiao. Spence was going out of boxing for a month and a half. And what did Bud do? Fight Mean Green? What did he do? What if fought somebody who Spence already whooped?
Exactly.
What did that mean?
Nothing.
The film, what you do in the ring proves it, man. Go and beat Errol Spence.
There's an artist that Ross likes, and he always say, you can't tell me nothing.
Right. Right.
Ross know exactly the song I'm talking about. You can't tell me nothing.
If he got more skills than Spence, prove it. Prove it. Quit trying to get out.
Exactly.
That's all I gotta say.
Hey, he been doing nothing but a whole bunch of talking, man. Ross has been real. You just learned today that a tag team from us is not a good position to be in. Basically, you got what Spence is about to give Terence Crawford. You sandwiched and you box in the corner and you don't know what you're talking about. I mean, damn, man, that is really bad that you had to put God that has nothing to do with this conversation into it to try to prove a point. I mean, gray area. That sounds like gray matter. I thought I was like in some in a science school or some shit like that, man. What are you talking about? This has nothing to do with boxing. You just saying stuff just for the sake of saying stuff, and you don't have nothing to prove your point. We've proven our point. We've said what we had to say. How about you tell your fighter, go on Twitter or go on whatever social media platform and tell him, why are you holding up the fight and why are you fighting Errol Spence? That's what y'all need to be doing, man. And that's all I got to say, man. Ross has been real. I'm not going to hold you up any longer. Anybody else, please. We're asking you guys to donate, to motivate, man, because we're bringing these lives back so that we can give you guys fresh, raw, in your face, real, and saying things that no one else is willing to say or too afraid to say regarding this whole Spence and Crawford situation.
I got
Because
one
there's
more
a
thing.
lot of people, they just don't want to tell you the truth. They either want to straddle the fence or they just want to basically say, well, I'm a Spence fan, but I think Bud's gonna also do this. That they're saying stuff that doesn't make sense, like this dude in the comment section. You
Bro,
either are a Spence fan or you a Terence Crawford fan, and you're that all the way through. And it's really that simple.
bro, I got one more thing. He said all that, all this shit he been saying. They said if the fight happens, I'll be. What do you mean if? So even you don't want the fight to happen. You
So
mean
he's
when the fight
clearly a Bud
happens?
Man fan. Clearly.
If the fight happens, so there's a chance in your mind that the fight don't happen. Why wouldn't the fight not happen? He's the best,
Exactly.
right? Why would he not want to fight the best? What do
Exactly.
you mean
I'm
if?
glad. I'm glad this last comment said it, because this is exactly what's happening. Bud trying to run for real, hoping PBC and Errol walk away from negotiations. Nah, little buddy. We want them orbitals and them ribs.
Exactly. Rib tips. Right. Motherfuckers talking about the film. Shut the fuck up, nigga. You sound like you Teddy Atlas. Like you like the film proves it. The film don't prove nothing. All the film proves is that Bud barely is barely a cut above mediocre competition.
Man, and even Teddy Atlas be bullshit, man. That
Even Teddy
motherfucker be
Atlas don't
saying a
know the
lot of
fuck
hot
he talking
air,
about.
man.
Teddy Atlas left of Teddy Atlas, all the great fighters white. They're the only
Mm-hmm.
ones he be like, oh, this guy's so great. And then they get stopped. Then he be like, they robbed him. Fuck out of here. Yeah, man. So
He tried to call Tyson Fury otherworldly when Tyson Fury got up.
right. Fuck out of here. If he's otherworldly, he would never get hit like that.
Ooh, it's been real, man. I'm not gonna hold you up too much longer, man. But see, this is what people gotta understand. You come in here with this bullshit, man. We're going to counter it, and we're gonna expose it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
We want Spence versus Crawford so that Spence can just wash Terence Crawford and move up to 154. I'm done with 147, man. I actually want to see what Spence looks like at 154 because I think he'll look even more impressive there. I'm actually done. My mind is past Errol Spence at 147 because I know that's not him at his best. I just know it. Like he's not as comfortable there as he would be at 154. 154, you would see a more comfortable, a more stronger, a more sturdier version of him. And that's what I'm waiting for. But in order for that to happen, we got to get past this Crawford hoop. Hopefully it happens, man, this year. If it doesn't happen this year, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're gonna be hearing a whole bunch of lives where Ross is gonna keep saying "I told you so" over and over and over again, until the point to where we may not have no more Budman fans in the comment section, man.
Yeah,
But all right, man, it's been real. Y'all take care. Y'all have a great Sunday. Is there anything else you want to say, Ross?
that's it, man.
All
That's
right.
it.
Y'all be easy. Peace.